That is what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Goglings, Gogorifics, Gog types, and Gog peoples. Welcome to the D&D channel. That's how it's felt lately, because we've had a lot of D&D going on, which is awesome, obviously. You can imagine how broken up I am about that. Not at all. I am your host, Arvin Elleron. This is the show Pen and Pixels. We do this here every Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern, focusing on story and narrative in games. And I have been on the video game side working on The Witcher 3. Just about to finish the DLC of Hearts of Stone, and then moving on to the last DLC, which will be Blood and Wine. But Wolf Soul, just subscribe, D&D hype. Let's see those critical success and fail rolls. We will do all of that. Thank you, Wolf Soul. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much for following us and subscribing to us here on GOG. So yes, this is the thing that we do here, as I say, every Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, we got a chance to get a couple of these sessions in last month, but the reason that we're doing it again early this month is because I'm going to be away next week. There will be no Pen and Pixels next week because I am going to be away for about a week off the grid with the family. I'm going upstate, and I'm looking forward to... I'm actually literally probably going to check email maybe twice and check internet twice. I haven't done this for a long time, and I'm just going to be completely off that, except that I'm going to be reading and writing and relaxing. So that's what I got going on. That is starting on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 11th. And I will be gone through Friday the 17th. There will still be some streams happening on my channel, but they will not be involving me. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good time. So there'll be no Pen and Pixels next week. And then the 2 weeks after that, Mike is going to be away doing some stuff. And so we wanted to make sure that we got this in so we could get this D&D with GOG session in with you. It is going to be a good time. So just a couple of quick reminders before we get started. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please check us out here on GOG, and please subscribe to the channel, as Wolf Soul was kind enough just to do. You can get awesome DRM-free emotes and sub badges and all that kind of good stuff. And please, if you haven't done so already, please consider clicking through and checking out our individual channels as well. Now, I do want to make one, beg everyone's indulgence and just make one quick comment, which is next Saturday, so Saturday the 18th, I'm going to have on my channel a number of SFF author panels, science fiction and fantasy author panels, about various subjects that are important to the world of speculative fiction. And then that evening, to benefit the Octavia Butler Memorial Fund, which is the wonderful African-American science fiction and fantasy writer Octavia Butler, this is a scholarship established in her honor to allow writers of color to get to Clarion, which is one of the most important, significant workshops in the world. And so to benefit that charity, I am going to be running a very special event that evening, panels on my channel, and then that evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, a D&D event featuring, check this out, the Will Sobel, who is Green Ronin's Director of Sales, Marketing, and Licensing. He's a game designer. He contributed to my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. He is DMing this event, and it will include authors Carlos Hernandez, Sarwat Chadha, Kwame Mbalia, Yunha Lee, Taylor K. Mejia, and Rick Riordan. If there are any Percy Jackson fans in the audience, or the Artemis Fowl types and all that, this is that same guy. Rick Riordan is going to be playing D&D on my channel with that group. I expect it is probably the biggest group. It's the biggest names I've ever had on the channel. I'm very excited about it. So again, would love you to stop by and support us if you can. That, of course, is Saturday. So that's what's going on there. But otherwise, I will be back on this channel, not next Tuesday, but the week after that, the Tuesday after, to continue with The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, and wrap up Hearts of Stone before moving on to Blood and Wine. But right now, the time has come. All I see is just Saber making the look of a bird as if he's flying off into the sky. So I don't know what that means. We're going to find out. I never know until I actually click over there. But
so anyway, then Dark Saber crit failed, and then he had a leaky beggar sat next to him. Who'd have think?
Exactly.
Slight leak.
And it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to Dungeons and Dragons with the amazing D&D with GOG crew. Some of them are tired, some of them are beaten down, some of them are drinking, and some of them are raising a baby. But all of them, no matter what they are doing at this time, are here for Dungeons and Dragons. I was going to say, not all at once, I hope. I hope you're not tired, drunk, and taking care of a baby, because that's probably not a good combination, I'm going to say.
British pastime,
but anyway,
practically.
It is a great day for D&D and for us to get some more work with Storm King's Thunder as they continue to zero in on doing these other really, these would be defined. Someone said to me, like, these are all the side quest days. I'm like, yeah, but this is part of their character development and, whatever. So it's not just a fetch quest. There's more to it than that. And we're going to get a chance to see more of that from these lovely players, beginning with the person right below me on the column there. And that, of course, is the GOG Stream Team leader and grand poobah of all of us. And that, of course, is Pyron Jade. Pyron, I know that you are not the most awake in the world that you've ever been, because it's some ungodly hour, but for you. But I'm glad that you've made it. I'm glad that you're here. How are you doing? How's life, and who are you playing?
Life is actually pretty nice. I'm spending a lot of time in the garden and, like planting plants, cutting plants, killing plants, the things you do in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing Greta Goldenfire, Dwarven Cleric of Foltos. May his light shine on your way, and she might have to preach today, and I feel totally up to that. Yeah. Oh gosh. Everything will be fine. We're all here.
Everything will be great. Yeah, exactly, Legion. All hail our fearless leader, Pyron. Yeah, I'm very excited to see the sermon, to hear the sermon with all of you. I've got to make sure I find the right organ music to accompany it, just in the background, and maybe a choir. I'll need to find what I can do for that. So
I have not in my life heard a single sermon in English. I'm really excited to hear my first today.
Outstanding. Your first as you're giving it. I look forward to that myself. It's going to be great. But it's going to be good times. I am very excited to have Pyron with us. I'm also excited to have Darksaber 2K, as I always do. I am always extremely grateful that Saber is nice enough to do Dashboard and Moobot for me when I'm also frantically trying to get D&D setting, so I'm happy about that. I know that recently Darksaber has had the exciting experience, I believe, of actually leaving his house, something most of us haven't done, so I'm
not quite that.
Oh, you're not quite there? Oh, all right, okay, sorry.
Work,
I'll come back to you in a couple weeks when you actually have left and departed the room. That would be great. No, laugh so you don't cry, people, sometimes with this stuff. But anyway, but no, it is good to see Saber. And how you doing, Saber? How's life, the universe, and everything with you?
Well, like I said, back to work, so I'm quite tired as well, because my sleep cycle's been completely messed up by this whole thing anyway.
Yep.
And then I've got a time limit I have to be up by, but I'm not so good at the going to bed part or getting to sleep part. So I've been very tired, and as you can, viewers can probably see with all the macros going on over there, I've been trying to get to grips with a few things in Roll20 to make my life a bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then realize it's like, wait, I'm only going to know if some of this works if I crit. And then the first roll I did to hit with the Gambler's Rapier was a crit fail, which...
Good start. That's what I like to hear.
Means I've slightly impaled a beggar that was standing nearby.
Exactly.
So it's thus the slightly leaky beggar.
Oh,
it's all right.
man.
It's only a small leak.
It's the tiny one.
It's a tiny one.
Yes, and of course that's with your rapier. Now you are, of course, playing the character of Cel Sigmar, and tell us what is Cel Sigmar's raison d'etre? What is the thing that makes him tick these days, Cel Sig? Would you say?
These days he wants to see the job through. Unfortunately, his party members usually just want to see the fight through. Not necessarily seeing the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I have to strangely be the voice of reason of all things.
Yep.
No, let's not pick a fight with the entire orc barracks.
It's true. Eventually you reach the point one of mine. You are the guy. That's right. Like you and Greta. It's just Greta wearing off on you, really. Like,
well, I'm trying to rub off, so to speak, on Greta. I'm trying to teach her to be a little less naive.
What time is it?
Yeah,
are we allowed to go into this sort of talk?
Welcome to D&D After Dark with GOG.
Welcome to D&D After Watershed.
After Dark.
Saber, all the Europeans in the room.
Watershed or Waterdeep?
Well,
how deep? All right.
What happens in Waterdeep stays in Waterdeep.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
But yeah, like I'm trying to maybe reason with Greta at the moment that maybe this 3,000 gold she's been asked to acquire isn't for the good of the temple. I've raised that possibility. Greta was somewhat shocked at the very notion of a dishonest priest.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that doesn't make any sense. So.
I like the idea that every time it's brought up, she's just like, what? Like, what about this? What? It's like every time. Oh,
you know how sometimes I say I'm a ranger?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you know he's someone saying he's a priest?
Wait a minute, are you not a ranger?
I was going to say, they've come to believe you.
We
is the
still
problem.
haven't had this talk yet, River. One of these days we'll have the talk.
So what's
You'll have
what
the
you're
ranger
trying
and the
to-
rogue talk.
So what you're trying to tell me, Celsic, is he is a ranger serving Foltus?
This is going to take a while.
I swear, the end of this campaign, if you succeed, it just involves Celsig taking the oath of, yes, Faltus is the god who lights all of the way. Like with Greta with this beaming smile, like crossed arms.
Fingers crossed behind me back.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have Saber with us. It is also a pleasure to have Mr. Mike Smith with us. And I do need to say, by the way, that Mike has been kind enough and skilled enough and detailed enough to be showing me and working with me behind the scenes on a very elaborate process. I think you brought this up. I think you announced that you were doing this. You talked about the thing starting with the video. Yes. So the video, he is working on a new introduction video. And let me tell you, like, I've done a number of intro videos in my day, but like, you know, Mike's method of doing this is like auditions. He's like, well, we've like cut down, we're on, and I'm not joking. Like we're down to the next tier. Like we've like gotten rid of these people. So this is going to be a serious event. Like I'm curious if we're in time for the short film Oscars. Like, do we have time to get into, because we're moving in that direction. And like,
That's what I'm aiming for.
yeah, I was, hoping so. Well, you start at Sundance, right? Or whatever, like the independent,
absolutely.
the Cannes Film Festival,
Indies
and then
and
it just
that.
goes from there. But no, in all seriousness, when you see that new video, it's going to be awesome. Coming fairly
I
soon.
certainly hope so. Thank you. I
But
appreciate
I think
that.
it's going to be great. How you doing, Mike? Otherwise, how's life with you, and who are you playing?
Yeah, I'm good. The move is still happening. We move in, looks at calendar, 2 weeks.
That's right.
So
2
everything's
weeks. Yep,
still,
that's right. Yep.
there's a lot of moving parts on at the moment. So we've got the move, we've got stuff for peripheral media, stuff for D&D, stuff for other D&D, stuff for other people. Lots of moving bits at the moment. So everything's kind of like, weirdly, all the plates are spinning and none of them are wobbling. So I'm quite pleased with that. But yes, just a super quick note on the video. So I love making this sort of stuff. And I've done them in the past, where for other companies and other productions and other teams.
For this very
and
video
for
you
you
just
as
saw.
well.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, I've done the voiceover and I've done this bit and I've done that bit, and I'm just like, well, I'll just do all the things, right? I'll just, jack of all trades, master of none. And I'm fine with that. But I wanted it to do it a bit more professional, if that makes sense. So I just thought, well, F it, and I'll just, put a job on an online message board for voice actors and actresses. Loads of people auditioned, lots of actual people who have like IMDb entry pages and like Broadway singers and actual actors that I've seen on the telly. Like, it's really a weird process. So yeah, anyway, all the ones that I've talked to, a lot of them are D&D fans as well, so they're really happy to do it. We've narrowed it down. I've gone through it. My wife's actually gone through a number of them as well. I've also gone through a number of them. A couple of other people have gone through them. And we had about 75 auditions, which I was really shocked at.
Or is deeply troubling about the state of acting in the world, that they're like, please God, give us...
like every actor and actress is just begging for voiceover work right now, which kind of works for me. So yeah, we kind of went through a lot of auditions in a very quick time. Narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 now. I think 2. I think we know who we're going to go with, but then I need to actually start doing the video work. And that's kind of the bit I love. I love having all of those little bits together. It's like a grown-up Lego set. Do you know what I mean? I get to get all the assets and all of the sound and all the vision, all the transitions and animations, just kind of stick it all together and make this really lovely kind of story for the entire campaign. And it's going to be something that even after the campaign, you can still watch, you can still enjoy, and it kind of brings everything together. And you never know, maybe in another campaign or different campaigns, there may be similar videos. But anyway, I am playing Urash, the half-orc barbarian and devout follower of Tempus, who has a bit of a kind of a run of bad faith recently, especially being cursed from the acts of blood. So he's trying to kind of cleanse himself a little bit, and he realized that's only going to come from himself and not from an actual weapon. That being said, he has just commissioned a new axe to be created just that's his, like only his. So he can take that and build a legacy for his tribe, for his people with that axe. And yeah, he's determined to see this through, much like Celsig is, but he's a little more focused on the now rather than the tomorrow. Like he's all about the now, the fight now, rather than the what's going to happen to us at sun up or sundown. You know. So
yeah, profit at
we'll see where it
compounding
goes.
interest that Celsig
Yes.
might be in that sort of context. No, that's great. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I'm very excited to see this video, which Mike took the reins of. I've seen the script and listened to some of the voices, and it is pretty wild. Although, when you were talking about Broadway, like many other red-blooded Americans, I was watching instead of watching leaders embarrass themselves on the national and international stage that are occupying the White House. Instead of doing that, I spent my July 4th watching a little bit of the Hamilton film, which is actually,
I haven't seen that yet.
and
that's on our to watch list.
it's pretty good. But I was just thinking about this image of having having the video show up and just having the music just like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
How does a bastard Celsig, Greta, and the river with Arash and the like just doing this big this
That's
big
the next
Hamilton
one.
rap thing. Like, I am not throwing away my axe. I am not throwing away my axe. Anyway,
absolutely.
it just was like I had this fantasy for about 3 seconds. Anyway, but I'm very excited to see it, and I'm very grateful that Mike is doing it, and I'm also grateful that not only is he here, but also Tasty Chai is here, and is here again with Baby. And well, it was funny too, because when she first came on, she just popped on quickly and then went to do something and came back. So I'm not paying attention. I just see that the thing comes up and I'm starting to capture the video. And so I look back over and I just see like this head staring at me from the back right. I'm like, oh, the baby, yeah. And I'm like, what happened to Chai? Like, Chai is regressed to the age of 6-7 months or whatever the hell. But yeah, so now I know that is not the case, and in fact, it was just her child. Chai, it's good to see you. Good to actually see you as an adult and not what I thought you were becoming a baby. How are you doing? How's life with you, and who are you playing?
I'm doing all right. Yes, Baby is. It was kind of funny too because I saw that when I just like popped on, and I was making boiled eggs for my lunch, and I just sat her there, and I saw her just be like. Just like right into the camera.
Yeah, she was like,
it's like,
I know,
okay. It was really strange. Good job, baby. But I believe she's teething, so she's been quite the handful.
Yeah,
which has been really exciting. So there will be much mutedness from me today because she's been yelling a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I am playing River, a Silver Dragonborn, also a member of the Harpers, also very hungry probably by this point. There's been a great chase and an excited thing with a puppy, and that all builds up an appetite, I believe. And also probably looking for the Harpers for reasons that she has already forgotten. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, we will see. I don't know because just mentioned that you wanted to do it. So we'll find out together, I guess. I look forward to seeing that. But always a pleasure to have this wonderful crew. And with that said, chat, let me fire up the music. Let's talk about what happened in our last session and get things underway. Let's see. Large city. Yes, city of trade in the day. Thank you. And let's see. As much as I love Willow in the Light, let's go with something a little different. Give me some, how about some... No, Bathed in the Light. Well, Minstrel Guild? Sure. Let's do a little bit of that. Okay. In our last session, the crew which has come to Neverwinter in search of details about a specific coin, a coin which I actually have without having to go look for it this time, and that's the Golden Goose coin. This coin was found near the body of Nerissa's dead mother and Hecaton's giant wife, by which I mean not only is she a giant wife, but she's a wife who happens to be a giant. And she was found killed, and it was not clear as to why this happened, and the only lead was this information. That's also important because King Hecaton himself has gone missing, and it is because King Hecaton has gone missing that things apparently have broken down completely with the Ordning, which is the organizational structure that allows the giants to keep their society in order and keeps them from doing things like randomly attacking cities and things that they've been doing over the last 4 to 5 to 6 months. And so the party has been trying to solve this problem problem while also learning details about their own paths through the world. And as they've been doing this, they've begun to gather more and more information about this conspiracy, which seems to have been set up to somehow get rid of Hecaton and channel chaos, basically, into the Order of the Giants. And so the party, having done all this searching, was finally arrived at Maelstrom, the fortress, essentially, far underneath the sea, of the Storm Giants, who are the leaders of the Ordning. There they found the three sisters, Nerissa, who was the one who was given the throne, and the other two elder sisters who feel like they should have been given it, and a figure known as Imrith. Now, the party had already learned from the Oracle, the all-seeing Oracle, deep in the mountains, that supposedly Imrith was a dangerous threat, theoretically, to the giants, and that Imrith might not be a giant at all. It's possible that Imrith might be a ancient blue dragon, even, which would be obviously a big risk. And so they found all of these things in Maelstrom. Fortunately, they managed to find Nerissa, who apparently is genuinely interested in finding out what happened to her father and genuinely interested in helping her people find peace again, and does not seem to be as anti-little people as some of the other giants are, certainly as Imrith is either. And so Nerissa gave them this coin as this one bit of information they had about who it was that had killed her mother. And again, it was not just sort of a bandits in the night, but apparently was some kind of organized thing that happened on this island, which I believe you can see marked. I don't know if it says the red circle or the blue dot, but it's one of those islands is where they actually found her body. And so the party took this coin, which Celsig immediately recognized as being casino-related somehow, and went to a large city to see if they could track down information, Neverwinter. What they discovered in Neverwinter is that there are indeed casinos there, but they don't use these coins. But they have found several other of these coins, one in particular which was given to River while River was focusing on something else. It was reverse pickpocketed, let us say, and it was placed within her pocket. And on the back of this coin, there is the letter Y. Additionally, a note was brought to the Temple of Foltus that Greta was visiting that said something to the extent of you should honor and approve. Thank you for the follow, Egoloff. Welcome. That you should honor and approve. You should be careful of what you're doing, and something to the effect of the light will lead you, I believe, to, and did it say specifically, Greta, the city that was involved? I believe it decided the light would lead them to Yartar. I think something like that. And so those notes and other information they've been getting is suggesting that maybe they really are finding this in Yartar. And one curious thing is the fact that these clues have been coming to them from these anonymous sources. They have no idea why this is happening, but it's a little bit weird and it sort of troubles them. Is this a trap? Is this real? Who are these friends? Is it the bard? It's probably the dragon's fault. That's Greta's belief. But what is it that's actually causing this to happen? So, in our last session, the party not only found out a lot of this information, but also did a bit of shopping. Celsig was able to get a mastiff for himself, a mastiff who was known as Fluffball. I don't know whether he's going to rename him, but that is the mastiff, who, as it turns out, can go kind of fast, by which we mean incredibly fast. That's Fluffball the mastiff. Also found this thing called a gambler's rapier, which is a magical rapier, or at least serves as magical, and what it means is that if he critically succeeds while attacking with it, he will do the normal damage plus that he would normally do on a crit hit, plus a 1d10 of extra damage. If he gets a crit fail, and as he has pointed out to me many times, 2 in a row because he has halfling luck. If he has a crit fail twice in a row, then he will fumble the rapier and drop it, and that's going to be bad for all concerned. Let's hope that ever happens. Subtext, it would be great if that happened in combat today. Anyway, that's what the Gambler's Rapier does. In the meantime, Urash had an axe commissioned, as he talked about, to be built, to be made for him by Breanor the blacksmith, and then is going to try to bring it, when it is done, to the Sanctuary of Tempest, where he is going to have this battle, this crucible, where basically his blood will be purged and this new weapon will be blessed with this power that is reflective of him as a pure figure, not as a cursed figure like the previous axe that Urash was in possession of. But that leaves 2 more party members that have to deal with something before they go, theoretically, to Yartar, although I guess they could go right now. Those 2 are Greta and River. River had at some point talked about being interested in trying to track down a branch of the Harpers, although she doesn't remember why now, and I don't fully recall either, except to say I think she was interested in finding out more about the pins that she saw some of the other Harpers wearing, something along those lines, basically. And then Greta is trying to save this one branch of the church that is having rent problems. And so she needs 3,000 gold, and that means either that she could ask her friends for it, and her friends were like, no, we spent it all on things like mastiffs and custom axes. And so she's like, well, then I either have to go convince the magistrate not to raise the rent, or deliver one hell of a barn-burning sermon that will cause the congregation to give like they've never given before in the offering plates, and allow them to save the church. And so, thank you, Penny, for the follow. As I hand things back over to the party, they have just managed to leave the Sanctuary of Tempest after hearing about what happened with Urash, and now the party has to decide, do they track down the Harpers, do they go give a great sermon, or do they go to the city of Yartar to continue with the so-called main quest? Party, having said all that, I hand it over to you. What do you folks want to do?
I remember why I wanted to see the Harpers, and it was because I thought they might have the money for Greta. That was why.
Indeed.
And help in general.
Well, I don't know. They're generally not super helpful, so.
I don't just go in and go like
from the mouths of Harpers.
We're literally trying to save the world, guys. Like,
are we kind of on the payroll or something?
Are we not? It's not like a probationary period.
We were semi-recruited.
Yeah, you were on semi-probation, except for River, who technically already is a Harper.
Yeah, but I'm not getting paid anything.
The rest of us were kind of non-committal when they were like, yes, you can help us. And we were like,
But we're already doing that anyway.
Yeah, but we already have a quest. I'm already on a quest.
Yeah. Oh, you can help us by stopping the giants. I don't want to do it for you. I'll do it. Are we
getting paid from by the Harpers for saving the world?
That's an excellent question that we should definitely ask them.
It's time to talk about.
We're not getting paid by anyone.
Yeah, I want to talk to you all a little bit
I've
about
been
a
paying
concept.
myself the whole time.
I want to tell you all a little bit of a concept of non-profits. So there's a funny thing about non-profit organizations, and have we talked about the value of exposure? Because I think that's really.
Yeah, but you already think Urash is 9 feet tall.
9 foot tall wearing a loincloth. I got the exposure I need.
Yeah, that's probably true. So no, they have.
Job exposing us.
He only wears a loincloth. He could die of exposure. It's seriously.
The peasants already think we're a different group.
That's a good point, actually.
We should have got that bard to talk us up.
No, he was horrible.
Mate.
That bard.
But they might know who we were.
That bard.
I now suspect it was the damn dragon, you know. Because we have only met 2 people who I dislike this much. And that was the dragon and the bard.
It is really fortunate that Greta did not play in my Tyranny of Dragons campaign. Oh my god. It's all dragons all the time. Like, just.
All dragons, all of them.
It really is.
They're all bastards.
Maybe other dragons are fine. I mean, we've only met like.
No, they're not. I played in the Tyranny of Dragons
campaign. One was evil. But
No, they're not.
I played in Rise of Tiamat campaign.
Yeah.
That's it. They're all bad, all of them, for one reason or another.
Just dragons, though, right? Not those possibly born of dragons.
No, the biped ones are fine.
Oh, good. Okay,
The ones on 2 feet are a-okay. Apart from
well, I've only met one, so 100% of them are fine.
Yeah, exactly, right? 100% of the Dragonborn I know are awesome.
That's not totally true, Celsig. You met the ghosts of Dragonborn, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
So you've met the old ancestor Dragonborns. You know, you did met those.
Do they count for statistics?
I don't know.
I don't really bother with statistics outside of probability.
Well, so.
Shocker.
As I really do not want to do a sermon, I will do something that you will not believe. I will try to help them find the Harpers.
Oh, wow. That shows you on how much you don't want to. Okay, so you got to go find the Harpers. Dang. All right. Well,
Snap.
let me just. Okay.
Let me just pull out this side quest note.
I was just gonna say no, but I do. I actually am going to.
Wasn't expecting.
Pull out one. No, I was. But I'm gonna pull out a source book on. Just give me a second.
Harper law. Harper legal law.
Harper interest rates.
Yeah.
That's true. I wonder what they owe me. How long have I been working for them?
Yeah, about
Well, listen,
3,000 gold, right?
you've been with us without pay for many months.
Many months.
I want to make sure that that Greta gets the full Harper experience. So that's why.
Well, River,
you know.
I have a phrase I'd like you to memorize at this time. Back pay.
Back pay. Okay.
Back pay.
I will remember this for when I encounter Sparkles.
Let me just double
Yes,
check.
because
here.
you should get paid by the Harpers. Because if you have money, you can buy
Well,
food.
not if you're an unpaid intern, right? So, are you guys interns?
If it just bursts in, just like
Always
back
considered
pay, back
myself
pay.
more self-employed.
Why do you want back pay? I don't know what it means. Back pay, back pay, back pay. It's something to do with food.
It sounds like a
I
plan.
don't
Okay,
think
let
I'm
me
an intern, but I feel like I'm due some kind of compensation for all of this mess.
So you're less an
I've had some-
intern and more internally screaming a lot.
I've had some intern injuries before. If that counts during this adventure.
That is very true. That is very true. Healthcare is expensive, and I provided that.
Yeah.
They should pay.
I've had
That's
intern.
true.
That's what we mean, right? Intern
I've
injuries.
actually died. That was exciting. Well, I got
You
knocked
should,
out.
you should bring
It-
that up. You should totally bring that up. You know.
Well,
Oh,
I'll bring
new
it up.
phrase, new phrase. Hazard pay.
Hazard pay. Back pay, hazard pay. Other words that have pay in them.
Yeah.
So
So when do we unionize?
I think we're already a union at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You might be covered by your wrestling.
Neverwinter's. Neverwinter's. The Neverwinter 402 union.
Yeah. Forget the Giants, let's unionize Neverwinter.
Seriously.
The rest of the
what,
campaign is just a long, boring legal battle.
what would
You
What
quit.
courtroom
Objection.
drama.
okay. So
To Ace Attorney.
So here's the thing about the Harpers. So you were in the big city. Certainly there are going to be Harpers in Neverwinter. The issue is that finding them is not as easy as just looking for a sign that says "Find me some Harpers," because they are definitionally a secret organization. That's sort of, it's more like we find you when we want, and so you're going to have to think of a way to encourage them to discover you, as it were.
So, for argument's sake, would going to a point of their teleport network that we know is guarded at all times do the trick?
That's probably a good guess.
I was
That's
gonna
probably a
say, don't we
reasonable
know of a teleport?
Did
spot?
anybody write down the location of the teleport point?
Urash?
We've been here. We know.
Wait,
That's
Sausage, did
actually
you not
true.
do that?
Haven't we used it?
Yeah,
I
did you
just
not?
My note
Mr.
just
I'm
says,
the master of the teleporter network.
Yeah.
That was literally your words.
I have a note that there's one here in Neverwinter.
Right?
That's better than my notes, which are missing. I don't know where they are.
They look like food.
They're in all the food.
These notes are delicious.
I am the big picture halfling. I leave the details up to the more educated clerics amongst us.
More educated cleric.
The cleric is going through her bookmarks for the notes. 1 minute.
River ate your notes. Well, I don't know that she. I mean, look, why do we have to play into stereotypes that, just because she eats a lot of food? I mean, that doesn't mean
I don't
she
think
swore an oath
Dragonborn-
to kind of keep it regular, and
I did.
not overdo it. Yeah,
You'll
I
notice
just-
how few goats I've eaten along the way.
that's true.
Dragonborn ate my homework isn't gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
So we know where the one in Waterdeep is, because that's in the City of the Dead.
Right.
And several places of information around the Giants, the High Forest, Shadowtop Cathedral, blah blah blah. Not heard from them in a while. Northeast of High Forest might be a teleportation circle in Yata.
There is, because that's where we found the network to begin with.
Literally, the only note on your part of the journal, Sausage, is Supreme Overlord of the Teleport Network. I'm not even kidding. And that I didn't write that.
No, I remember
I can't
writing
imagine that you didn't write
like
that.
a year
Shocking.
ago.
I honestly didn't write it.
What's up, 8-Bit? Everybody makes fun of River and doesn't pay her. Shame on this group. I think it's
Honestly, we don't script this.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Exactly.
Rivers
It's
never
all
asked for
improv.
money from us, and she works for the Harpers.
It's true.
We kind of assumed they were
Non-profit.
covering her wage bill.
I didn't know there were wage bills. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of here.
It's been education for us all.
They're all learning.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. It's been an educational experience. It's been edutainment at its finest, folks. Edutainment. So,
So-
where are we going? We're now just talking in the middle of Neverwinter.
Right, you're standing like
Okay.
outside the Temple of the
Yeah.
Sanctuary of Tempest right now.
Yep.
Okay.
So we go find the Harpers.
You go find a familiar road with Harpers on it, somewhere around it. Not the road built of Harpers, that would be a little morbid.
Right. If you don't entirely remember, you could, of course, go and sort of, spend a few hours basically spreading rumors that, the great thing about Harpers is that they show up sometimes, and
Yep.
it's good if you can really find some Harpers. And I like pianos and guitarists as much as the next person, but Harpers are really where it's at. You could do little things like this if you wish to kind of seed information that they're you're looking for them. That's possible. Yes.
I have a suggestion.
Sure.
Sorry, go on, Byron. You've been waiting to stop for ages.
Okay. Have we not teleported to Neverwinter before? I think we
Yes.
did.
I remember
You did.
where it was. It's in
Yeah.
an attic.
That's
yes,
right.
it was the attic where
I don't
could
remember
not get-
where.
It was the attic where I could not get my pony down the stairs, and there
Yes.
was a Harper girl there who was like majorly confused, like all the other Harpers we've met, and she brought us down like dust to the meeting point.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so it should not be a problem to
That's
find
fine.
that.
Now that you've remembered all that, that should be able to help you get back to it. Yes.
My suggestion for
yes.
anyone who wants to know was we just walk around the streets yelling Harpers. I mean, it's a gamble. but
Harpers! Yeah, exactly what
It
Mr.
is-
Zito said. Just shout, has anyone heard of the secret society called the Harpers? Anyone know
No,
who the Harpers are?
the secret society.
You know,
I heard you're
seriously,
looking for the herders.
No.
Yeah, no. Yes, so you
I
are...
think we should get back to the meeting point where the confused Harper girl brought us to, I think, 2 more confused Harper mages who were doing like dangerous stuff or something.
Mhm.
So that's where we should go again.
Okay. Is that what you want to do?
Onwards.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go there and
Yeah,
ask for
sure thing.
3,000
Is-
gold for.
Arash
I'm
done?
just going along. Yes. I'm
You were done. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you make your way through the busy city streets towards where you remember this, and as your memory does guide you, indeed, it was in an attic that you first appeared, and then something which led you all the way down to this rather kind of ordinary-looking house that's just in one of the residential districts in southwestern Neverwinter. As you sort of come up to it on the outside, you can remember more of the details of some of the places where you found the house, and you're eventually able to kind of work your way over until you come to the door of this place, which when you try it is currently locked. There's not anyone obviously outside except the people behind you passing by in the streets and so forth, but other than that, the door to the house is locked and you don't see any obvious guards outside.
I know I'd get in, but does anyone want to try knocking?
I knock loudly.
Okay, so you just wait. Silence.
Oh, what I wanted to tell you, I have you remember the magical dwarven helmet
Mm-hmm.
with the dwarven ghost inside that we found on the mountain
Yes.
when we fought the chimera,
Yes.
and that I told you that when I put it on that I was meeting the dwarven spirit, and that he was promising to do something for me. He made gloves for me, like gauntlets. Here, I showed him my gauntlets.
Ooh, fancy.
Shiny.
Yes, and they are magical and they will help me with healing. And right now they're gonna help me with knocking. I put them on and I knock again, loudly.
Well, you put them on and the gloves go on and they're nice velvety, so it's a poof, 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 and it doesn't necessarily make a nice loud knocking sound. It's sort of more of a
betrayed
dull
me,
thud,
gloves.
you know.
You betrayed me, gloves. I take them off again.
They do
Put
heal
my
the
back
door
there.
if that makes you feel any better. No, but
It does not.
so yeah, so you make that sound again. Sound echoes within. Make a perception check for me, Greta, please.
Oh, I forgot to open my character sheet. This is... I nearly clicked on Fireball. I don't know why.
Habit.
Whoops. Oh man.
I'm staring at the door.
That's what happens when you're
Thinking of
thinking more about
fireballs.
fireballs. Exactly. I was just
Yeah.
gonna say. What are you thinking about fireballs?
It's one way of knocking. I will knock 3 times, physically twice.
I was playing Destiny 2 with a friend of mine the other day, and we were playing through and realized that honestly the solution to every problem in Destiny is to fire at it more. Like everything's like, get through this, fire at it. Like, can we break this down? Fire at it. Like everything is just fire at it. So we have one tool, and when your tool is a hammer, everything is a nail. Anyway, so so you sort of you do doof, 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 and the thuds die away, and
Is the door open?
no, it's locked, or at least seems to be.
Is there a back door?
You could try. It's part of a house that it's kind of like a set of attached houses that this one is in, but you could sort of walk around to the back, you know, find an alleyway basically to go back and then back again. You could do that if you wish.
I can open the door from the other side of the street. Just saying, we could all be standing over there. Oh, the door opened by itself.
Oh, look. Probable cause.
You know, I'm pretty sure the only reason why the Harpers are not opening us is because they're inside and they need our help desperately. So I think you should open the door.
I could open it.
Can I just yell after all the knocking? Just be like, hello! Here with me is your teleporter!
When you do that, River, door opens.
Yeah! And
Brilliant.
in we go.
I look around the street.
Yeah, there's like 5 people looking at you, sort of, what?
We're here to use your super secret teleporter. Hello.
Oh, they must be adventurers. How do you know? They ain't covered in shit.
Okay, so you're all going in following River, I assume, in this
Oh, yeah.
in this case. So you go in. Are you leaving the door open to the outside?
No,
Okay.
we're normal people. We close
We
doors.
close doors, okay, I wanna
Enter
make
the halls.
Jimmy and Graham at the same time, just.
So you close the door behind you, and the sound of the city outside dies away, as does the music from the outside. Thank you, Vampire Lord. I'm not at all concerned that you just started following GOG.com after they entered this deserted place.
Did you invite him in?
I was going to say, right? Exactly, because if we did, you're in big trouble. Okay, let's fire up some different kind of music. All right. Give me some Will in the Light. Okay. When you enter this room, you were struck by the fact that the inside of this place, now you will not remember this by now, but this basement area was not particularly impressive. Like none of the areas in this house was particularly impressive. It was just kind of this thing in the middle of Neverwinter, which is probably how the Harpers usually would want it. But when you walk in, you definitely remembered that there were, as you said, wizards downstairs where you're standing right now, and there was this girl who, but you don't see any of that. The room is very much dark when you first enter. Thank you for the follow, Tatooine. You very much dark when you enter, and as soon as you close the door behind you, these magical, apparently, these bluish red torches flare to light around you, and there's 4 of them on the walls around you, and then there is a set of these stairs leading upwards. That's the stairs you came down when you first came here, but there is no one at the moment apparently in the room besides yourselves.
I listen carefully.
Make
Very
a
intently.
perception check for me, please. Also, thank you, Wake and Bake. Thank you, and
14?
you're our 420th subscriber today. Thanks. Sorry.
I see what we did there.
Yeah, thank you. It's a softball. Okay. So, Celsig, you don't hear anything around you, but you do sense like there is something somewhere. You feel like you're being watched, but you don't sense or hear or see anything obvious around you.
I mean, to be fair, especially around Greta, I'm used to that.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's true. Well, Greta automatically is watching you. That's just built in. So this is that plus. Also, all of a sudden, we're getting a follow train or something. Thank you,
Ooh,
Grocklaw.
nice.
Thank you, In Between. Thank you all for these follows. Anyway, yeah. So, so you get that feeling. Other than that, though, you don't hear or see anything.
Hello.
Your voice kind of there's not much of an echo, but it just sort of falls flat in the room.
Hello, we are currently reporting in from trying to save the world. We could need some help. Please, thank you.
Well, now they know where we are and what we're doing here.
Is that supposed to be a secret?
We're inside, and the people who were inside here, they knew what we're doing. So, and apparently they spend their time making blue torches.
They didn't answer the door in person, though.
They are weird. They're like not normal like we are.
We?
Yes.
Okay.
Look, we four are trying to save the world, which seems the most reasonable thing you can do, right? So we must be the most reasonable people.
I kind of nudge Rilla, like, maybe you should try asking. The door seemed to work for you.
Hello, we are here to save the world. Can you come out, please?
So when you say that,
Okay.
when you say that, there's a moment of sort of silence, and then you hear these footsteps creaking down the stairs. And you sort of wait, and after a moment, you see the girl that you met before, the confused one, coming down the stairs. And she looks out at you as she sees you, and she nods a couple times, and she says, "Oh, yes, I'm glad to see that you've made your return. We didn't hear you before. You probably needed to maybe knock a little louder." She kind of nods and smiles. And she says, so what can I do for you then? She still seems a little confused, Greta.
I look at Solsig and then look at the girl and I say, hazard pay.
I'm sorry?
Hazard pay. It's not working.
She kind of looks around like you're talking to someone else.
Well, River and the rest of us were wondering, besides the point, does River get paid for any of this work she does?
Get paid? Well, but we serve the people of the Sword Coast and of Faerun. It's our job to make sure that things keep going smoothly and that evil doesn't get a foothold here. I mean, that work has its own reward, isn't it?
People who
no,
serve get paid.
Well,
River's died once, and it's getting expensive.
Died? Oh, that's terrible. She looks pretty alive now.
She got better.
And she says, "You're not fooling anybody." No. And she says, well, that's terrible. I mean, I'm just an operative with the Harpers, of course, but I think they should be doing better than that for you. Well, here, sit down. And there's a round table and a couple of chairs that you can sit down at. And she sits down on one side, looking, clearly uncomfortable and kind of awkward, and says, I'm sorry that it's been difficult. Well, I mean, what kind of money do you need? I don't really know what we have.
How much do you have?
Well, we don't really work that way. It's sort of more complicated than that. I don't have like a treasure chest or anything. I can sometimes find ways to get some money somehow. occasionally. But it's not totally up to me, you see.
Okay, so where are the other two lovely people?
Oh, well, they were doing an experiment, and currently they are traveling somewhere in the astral plane. I don't know when they're going to be making their return, but it's really important, valuable stuff. At the moment, I'm the only one managing here, right now.
Yeah, of course. That makes total sense that they are traveling the astral planes now, leaving you alone while we're trying to save the world. I don't even know why I didn't think of this.
I think it's fine. I mean, they wouldn't leave me there if they didn't think I couldn't manage it.
Yeah.
You know, it would be fine. What do you need the money for?
We needed to save churches. Also to buy food.
Just stuff.
Churches?
Adventurous stuff.
Stuff?
So that we can quickly continue our mission.
That sounds like 3 different reasons.
Yeah, we've got a lot of reasons to do this.
But the 3,000 just goes to one thing, right? Just
Never
one
mentioned
thing?
3,000. How do you know?
And there's a pause, and then kind of smiles a little bit, and she says, well, it's possible that I may have gotten some information, I guess you could say. Some
You harpers are so endearing.
knowledge. Well, we try. So, yes, you need gold, 3,000 gold. That's a lot. I don't think I have access to 3,000. How are you going to try to get the? I mean, if I can't find a way to get it to you, how would you do it otherwise?
I would ask the dragon.
Which dragon?
Do you have more than one?
Well, yeah, we have many dragons.
What?
Sure.
What are they
allied
doing
with
all the time?
They're allied with the Harpers. Well, many things. It's a big world.
I mean, not burning us sounds like a good thing. That's a
Right.
very important thing they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, well, but they could, like, I don't know, take on other dragons that are causing trouble.
Well, they may be doing that already. You've heard about these attacks of the giants? The dragons.
Yeah,
deal
we
with them
might
too.
have. I don't know. Maybe yes.
And
Somehow.
She nods very earnestly. Yeah, well, they're doing some stuff, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, in that case, I've heard that dragons are good with money, so I would ask Kalismanda.
Oh, Kalismana. Yeah. Well, Kalismana has been doing some very, very serious work for us, kind of undercover, I think you might say. He was looking after, for a while he was watching someone's, I don't know, I think he was joking about looking after someone's ponies, and then once they all got lost, he could go do some real fun things, he said. and then he went and he probably was just kidding though. And then he went undercover, deep cover, to find some information about some spies. It's not just giants, it's the spies that are trying to create this chaos and continue this chaos that we've got going on right now.
So who's looking after my pony now?
Your pony? Was Kalismana looking after your pony?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure that he's fine. Kalismana is a big joker, but he would not actually ever abandon one of your ponies to certain death and destruction. Even though he personally likes eating ponies himself, he's always really, really careful and takes good care of them when they're owned by his friends.
I scratched Fluffball's ear.
That's a lovely dog.
I know.
And she says, and then she looks at it and goes, and Fluffball goes over, wags his tail, and nods, and then pants. And she says, "Oh, well, I guess this dog here, Fluffball, says that that he likes you too."
Hey, it's good to know. Thank you.
And she nods happily.
So if I go where my pony was, Kalismandra will not be there.
And she says, "Well, I'm not sure about that. I mean, Kalismana probably, provided for them. I'm sure he did. He's kind of, like I said, a big joker. He would have provided for your pony, I'm sure. That there was a name for one of them. It was carrot cake. It was ice cream.
Dinner.
Dulce de leche.
Sweet roll.
What?
Sweet roll.
Sweet roll.
Sweet roll. Yeah, that was it. Yes, sweet roll.
Sweet roll the pony.
Yes. He said that he was being especially careful with sweet roll. He said because those are always the most delicious when you make sure that you've kept them around for a while. So that was really important. And then he laughed.
You seem to be very appreciative of the work that everybody does, like everybody, right?
Yes, I am.
So we currently need a little bit of monetary appreciation for our work so that we can hopefully quickly continue on with our mission. Because I've got a little bit of divided loyalty right now between helping my church and saving the world. And how much monetary help can you provide us? Please.
Well, I guess what I would say is I can provide. Well, let me put it this way: what would be the way that you would get money, raise money on your own, if it wasn't through direct donations from us? I mean, what were you planning to do if there was no Harper organization that you're all, except for River, and she points to you, River, provisional members of? What would you? How would you get that money otherwise?
Mainly looting.
I usually work at the church and the church provides.
But sometimes the church needs to have someone provide for it.
I'm trying, okay?
I know. And so I'm asking, how would you raise money for that church if there was no, Harpers?
I didn't know. They never asked me to do that. I'm pretty sure they have specialists for that.
We should do a bake sale.
And usually when we find money, we're half dead at the time, if not nearly all the way dead, or actually dead in River's case.
What better?
It's not a good economy.
I know a thing. The church provides healing services for money for people who have money.
Yes, that's right. And at the moment, I gather they're having money difficulties. At least that's what it sounds like. Why are they having these monetary problems? Do you know?
Apparently the rent is really high.
Yes, the rent is too damn high. And she nods, so she doesn't say too damn. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. The rent is high. And she says, it's been difficult, I know, for everyone to keep up with it. So their rent is high and they need the money. So are they doing any fundraising? Can you talk to the people who imposed it upon them? Or perhaps you could raise the money among the faithful?
I will, considering that we will not get the full amount here, I will need to try to raise the money among the faithful. And they're still providing services because they would have sold me a resurrection scroll for gold, so I'm pretty sure they do that for other people as well.
She nods.
Why did they think that you could raise 3,000 gold where an entire church couldn't anyway?
Well, what if, and she sort of gets this girl you've been noticing as you're talking to her, she keeps getting these little half smiles, sort of like, not smug, but I mean like quirky, like kind of like, and she says, what if we could make sure that you had a big audience for a fundraising event you were going to do? I mean, what is the size of their congregation, do you think? It can't be too large, right?
I don't know.
What if we could get many people into that congregation, into that room, just for one event?
No offense, but I'm pretty sure whatever idea you have, it's going to be a bad one.
And she says, well, maybe, but I have a feeling we'll be able to get what we need. We have connections, and we can get a lot of people to places when we need to, especially here in Neverwinter.
But not enough connections to just... Do they not pay you either? Are we getting what's the word? I just look at Celsig and is it shafted? Is that the word? Are we getting shafted?
You didn't pick that up from me, but that's the right word.
That might be my fault. I chime in from the back. I'm like, that's one of mine.
I did that.
How did you even? No, never mind. Another conversation for another time.
I got hit with a quarterstaff. I was shocked.
And she says, and she nods and she says, I understand it can be a little difficult, but appearances sometimes can be deceiving, and I think you might find that, well, just not direct donations, but something which could get more people invested in the future and the success of that church would matter even more than just money. If you could inspire them, and if we could get you a lot more people to inspire, then you could end up with a subscription from Nonstop for 43 months, currently on a 24-month streak. That's what could happen to you if you were able to work with us. We can provide you an audience of people that might be willing to give money to the cause. Then you just need to bring them the rest of the way.
I turn to Celsig and I whisper really loudly, I don't want to give this sermon, and I certainly do not want to give the sermon to even more people. They will all be watching me with their eyes.
Can make you go invisible, it's okay.
It sounds like an ecumenical matter to me.
What?
I'd see a doctor about that. I had that once, had it fixed.
A wise man once told me, do not dabble in the affairs of clergy.
She gets the little quirky, that little quirky
There
smile
are going to
again.
be a lot of people there, and it's going to be horrible.
And she says,
Make you invisible.
you know, Greta, there have been a lot of people watching you, and you've made a real impact on a lot of people.
I don't want people watching me.
Well, Fultus is always watching you.
He's not people.
Well,
Ooh, I move away from Greta in case of sudden lightning bomb.
and she says,
Move
well,
to the
that's,
side.
that's between you and your God. No, she says, well, yes, but I just think you'd be surprised how impressive you usually are, Greta. I mean, all of you have made a big, big difference. There's all kinds of talk about you in the Harpers.
What? We're like, why do people talk about us in connection with the Harpers? Why would they do that?
I know that one. We're heroes.
And she
But
says,
everybody out there thinks we're a different group of heroes.
that's right. There's lots of different stories about you even. There's some who call you heroes, some who call you thieves, some who talk about you burning down buildings, others of you who talk about eating people out of house and home, and then there's other stories about you saving ancient races, about speaking to oracles, talking to giants, negotiating with dragons. It all depends on who's telling your story. And she gives another one of those little quirky smiles.
I just like, just kind of got us there. All of that's technically true.
So, you do not have a lot of money.
She says, no, but I'm pretty sure that we can get you the money you'll need if you're willing to do just a little bit in terms of speaking to the people themselves or convincing them to lower the rent. We have some people that are in the government that are working on this. The truth is that it used to be that the rent was something that they would impose on people who couldn't afford it at all and would kick them out, like what they want to do with the church that you're talking about. They used to do a lot more of that. And under pressure, Lord Neverember changed the policies based upon, well, our influence. But there's only so much we can do. The city is under pressure to get money from lots of different sources.
The church signed a contract. The church should fulfill the contract. We should not try to talk our way out of that.
And she shrugs and she says, you're probably right. The truth is that everyone's been under strain. It's been hard to get enough money for anyone, but what they need is inspiration, Greta. You can do that, just the way you've inspired Harper's already without even realizing it.
I feel I do not want to know what Harper's did on my inspiration. Did anything burn down?
Preconceptions, maybe. And she gives that quirky smile.
Okay.
I roll my eyes.
I look at the party. I feel I have to go and have a sermon.
Wait. And I look at the lady. You guys have information, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So there's a rumor. I take a really long look at Selsig. That maybe the priest isn't honest. But don't tell Greta. Do you think he's honest?
Oh, the priest of Foltis? Well, most of those priests have been pretty honest from what I know, but individually, well, it's sometimes hard to tell. I know that there have been some branches of the church's religions in the city that are struggling. No one has any money, or at least not the way that they would. The economy's been affected. It's just this kind of, I don't know, it's like a big disease almost that everyone's suffering from and needs to figure out ways to deal with in their own ways. We've told people, others have told people about the importance of being careful with each other, making sure that you maintain the proper distance, that sort of thing. But some people have been really angry about it. There were people just the other day in front of Lord Neverember's house protesting that they had the right to be free to walk outside and be crushed by the giants who were waiting for them. And Lord Neverember let a few of them go. They seemed really surprised when the giants then went and crushed them. And she shakes her head sadly. Some people never learn, I suppose.
Ultimate freedom. Freedom to take consequences.
So, you do not have money.
And she says, not that I can directly give you immediately, no, but I promise you, you'll find what you need. Do you
Okay.
have any other information that you've gained while you've been traveling around the city? Any strange information that you can pass along?
Somebody wants us to go to Yartar. Someone made a big point of giving us a clue. Was it you lot?
And she says, well, I'm not always at liberty to give all information that exists. You can make an insight check to that if you want, Celso.
I do. And as I'm doing that, I just want to say, well, it was either you lot or someone working with us or against us on top of the Harpers, so we kind of need to know. 17.
You get the impression that there is... Every time she does this little quirky smile and she has these little pauses and hesitations in her speaking, you get the impression that she's wording carefully. You also, Selsig, every so often get the sense that, I mean, you're talking to this girl who's maybe, looks like she's 14, 15, but you often get the impression that she speaks in a way that suggests a much older manner than that. Just occasional flashes.
I'm not asking you to reveal your sources or your ways. We just want to know if it was your hand that has pointed us in the direction.
Well, our
Or are
information...
you a dragon?
She nods, she shakes her head and she says, no, I'm not a dragon.
Oh.
There are plenty of dragons around, and I wouldn't want to bother Greta even more. And she comes over and gives you kind of a pleasant smile, Greta, and then says, there are many information brokers that we have in the cities, and, well, the word has gone out for us to watch for you, and to do what we can to help. How that help has happened, well, She kind of gives a little shrug. You may not have even noticed when it was happening, but we're almost always there, somewhere.
Well, someone was very specifically noticed not too long ago. But it's reasonable to assume if the word's gone out for the Harpers to be assisting us, maybe word's gone out for other parties to lure us into a trap.
She nods. She says, yes, that's the problem with being a largely secret organization. Someone else can pretend that they're you, and it's not like you can just issue a press release to the local paper. You have to go out and deal with them. And we have, Selsig. Believe me, the Harpers have dealt with them. And just for a moment, her manner gets real serious, and then she's like, quirky smile again.
She's scaring me.
I have a question.
They are all insane.
Sure.
Do you know anything about dragons?
Oh, yes. Well, at least what I've read about them, and I've met a few.
Do you know anything about big old blue dragons?
And she kind of thinks for a minute. I've had some, well, lessons about blue dragons, and perhaps ancient ones, in the past. Is there one in particular?
Imrith.
Oh. Make an insight check for me, please, Horash.
Oh god, I need to open my character sheet. Jeez, I wasn't expecting that.
How dare you ask for a skill check?
I thought this is just RP.
I was just planning to coast through today's session.
Yeah, it's a 12. I get to roll 20.
The only thing that you
I have to open
note,
Chrome.
the only thing that you note is that there's a little bit of a hesitation in her manner. And then she says, I think that I've heard of something like that. That name sounds familiar.
So you definitely
past,
hesitated
though.
there. And from what I understand, people who know dragons know them relatively well. Either they've seen them or they've read specifically about them. Kalismana, for example. Or you know nothing about them.
And she says, yes, I've definitely heard the name, and I know that they're tied up with giants, for sure. Although these days, it seems like everyone's tied up with the giants. But this particular one has been involved with the giants in some way. I remember reading about that.
Yeah, we might have some insight into that, but I think what I'm most interested in is dragons in general. Can they normally turn into humans or other creatures, like shapeshift?
Oh yes, dragons are capable, especially older ones, of disguising themselves as many things. In fact, there are some dragons who spend more time out of their dragon form and as humans, or elves or dwarves or other things, than they do in their dragon form.
Is this normally only something very old dragons can do, or is it past a certain age?
Usually, it's something which very old dragons are able to do, and not all of those dragons can do it. It really depends on whether they've studied it, but many of them do this so that they can walk free among the people, the mortal races here, and learn something about them. Dragons are fascinated with us, even when they are frustrated by us at the same time.
Okay.
I raise my hand.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any means by which these disguised dragons can be detected, or even better, exposed?
Literally my next question.
High five.
Yep.
And she says, well, there are two ways. One, sometimes you can determine who they are by asking enough questions, by gathering enough information that you can tell that what you see is not what you're getting. It's not always easy to see through disguises, but at least with dragons, if you ask the right sorts of questions in front of others who are definitely not dragons, you can sometimes cause them to slip up and make a mistake. And at that point, it's just a matter of getting them to admit what you already know. The other way is faster, but a little more dangerous.
I'm all ears.
Well, you have to get close enough to them that you can dispel magic, and it needs to be a really strong version of that spell. And the dragon is usually really upset, and it doesn't cause the dragons to lose their power, just their illusion. And so it's probably the last thing you'd ever do.
So, like, hitting them with a really big stick wouldn't do it.
Right. Well, it would upset them and cause you to end your life, but other than that, it wouldn't necessarily do it, yes.
But it might reveal them.
It could, if they decide that they wish to be revealed. Sometimes dragons get angry enough that they don't want to spend time just pretending to be something else. They want to just become dragons and eliminate the threat, whatever they see as the threat.
So dragons are as powerful in their disguise as they are in their dragon form?
Oh, I would say more powerful. At least with the dragon in their regular form, you can see it coming. With a dragon disguised, you never know what they're going to do. They're great magic users, you know, and masters of deception. Why, anyone right now could be speaking to you and be a dragon too. And she kind of smiles and then sort of for a moment kind of creepily and then says, but not me. We have our own anti-illusion shells within this place.
You have no idea how paranoid you've made me in the last 10 minutes.
But you're definitely not a dragon, right?
And she says, no, I'm not a dragon. I think I would disguise myself as something different than, well, this if I were one. And she kind of gestures to her, simple dress and everything.
I don't know, it's very low-key, under the radar.
Someone who fits in? Like, we wouldn't suspect you if you hadn't have been saying what you said.
But you see, dragons, they have more of an ego. When they hide, it's hard for them, and so they try to take on the role of something which best duplicates their personality. For the good ones, that means becoming a paladin or a cleric, or maybe a leader, a speaker. And then for the evil ones, it's often a necromancer or a wizard, or sometimes even a rogue. But all of these are just manifestations of their personality. Very seldom does someone just say, I'm just going to be a peasant. I'm just going to be a simple person. They want to be the best, the biggest, the brightest, the most important.
Unless they're hiding.
Well, considering that you're in charge here and that you're the only one having contact with the heroes you hired to save the world, I would say you're a pretty important person right now.
Well,
I do
the best I can, but I'm just one person in a very, very big continent and world.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I just nod. I say, we're all just a single person in a very big continent and world, but each one of us in our own way can make the difference in this situation that we're in right then and there. Never sell yourself short on that.
I think you're right. Thank you, and that's kind of what I'm saying right now to Greta. She can make that same kind of difference, and we can help.
The background like Homer Simpson.
Greta, are you a dragon?
You've really supported everything I've said, Urash. Thank you. I'm just going to make sure I underline that. Now, Greta, did you hear your friend Urash say this? Because this is really helpful for you to hear, too. I'm glad we've had this talk.
Yes, it is. Yes, I'm thrilled as well. I turned to Greta and Celsic. Are you two dragons?
No, I'm not a dragon.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I would have been better with gathering gold on this adventure if I was a dragon.
Yeah, do you remember that giant treasure chest full of money at the Duke's castle that you didn't want anything to do with? Just wanted to remind you.
It would still have been stealing.
Okay.
It's not stealing if they're evil.
Liberating.
Plus, you'd have been redistributing it to your church and the poor.
Well, redistribution. Doesn't
that get you, like, sainted?
No, you do not get a saint by stealing stuff.
Redistributing.
It's still stealing.
It was already stolen.
We do not know. Maybe he has like a really good business doing stuff in his forge. We do not know.
His forge run by slaves.
We do not know if there are slaves.
Oh, they volunteered to be chained up and whipped. It's a perk.
Employee benefits, free chains and manacles. They were definitely slaves.
Definitely slaves.
I've seen enough of my people.
They tried to enslave us. Remember?
Yes.
And she says,
And then you set fire to the actual slaves, and that whole thing happened.
and
I
she's,
did not do that. I set fire to one single hut, and everybody reacted in a very unpredictable way.
That hut had
Oh,
slaves in it.
the stealth fireball. I
it
remember.
was the main hut.
With the slaves in it.
No.
and
Yes, because I freed them from that hut.
the girl,
I was there.
Yeah.
the girl says, "Are you talking about the yak folk?"
Yes.
Oh, come, shut up. This is between us.
Is that enough?
And she,
Okay, we're gonna leave now. We're gonna
This is
have a
Greta's
surgery.
heel
We're
turn.
gonna
This is
leave
where she
them
becomes like a
out.
Dark Knight.
But yes, we are talking about the yak folk.
Yes, the yak folk. The
and she
Vines.
nods. She nods, and she says, "They have kept slaves for many years.
Could you just
They've
stop?
built an entire culture and society around doing it." And she shakes her head and
Bad
says,
people.
It's worse than bad. It's structured to be this way. Do you understand? It's not even that they conquered someone or took them over. That would be bad enough. Their whole society is structured to make slavery a built-in thing, as if you
Fed into the
were
ground.
planning a routine, a ritual to eat food or to go and be clothed. That kind of thing is terrible, and it's not what we fight for. And you see a kind of flash in her eye.
Okay, we're gonna get rid of Imrith. We're gonna get back Hackathon, and then we're gonna tell Hackathon to, as a reward for us, please outlaw slavery among the giants. Okay? Then that is also taken care of.
I just figured we'd be going back and
We're just
kicking
gonna
ass.
do it today. It will take a little while.
And she nods and she says, "It seems like you're doing a lot of work already, and that's one of the reasons why we're pretty confident you can do this too."
Look, at the end of the day, I've seen enough
Quirky
of my
smile.
people in chains and in servitude that I'm not. The end of my days won't come without me seeing Iron Slag burned to the ground and every slave freed.
You should maybe freeze it or something. I'm not sure it burns very well.
She
Because-
says, "You know, even before everything that happened with the giants, there were some of those giants who were evil. The frost giants, the hill giants, the fire giants that you've just talked about. There were many of these giants that had problems, and some of them are evil, some of them are misguided, but there are ways to create a balance. I don't think you want to destroy the entire giant society. We need those giants to balance against other threats. But do we need them to enslave others?" She shakes her head. "No. That's something which is long overdue for ending."
Look,
Agree
nobody
completely.
here is in favor of slavery. We're gonna end it when we get to it, okay?
And she smiles.
It's on the
"That's
list.
such clear-headed thinking, Greta. I'm glad to know that you're spearheading the effort to bring some of this to a close."
You should use that in your sermon.
You should.
And she nods. "That's a wonderful idea."
I
Yeah,
don't
oh,
want to
yeah.
do the damn sermon.
And she smiles and she says, "Perhaps this will be helpful to you." And she kind of barely glances over her shoulder, and you see coming down the stairs is what looks like essentially a sheaf, S-H-E-A-F, of paper, and there's a quill pen floating down along with it. And the whole pile of paper comes down and lands slowly on the table. You can see that it's blank, and the quill pen is kind of hovering nearby it. And she says, "Now, when do you think you would want to try to raise this money?"
I think I'll now walk out there, walk over to the church, and tell them that we're gonna have a sermon, and they told me it's going to be the evening sermon, which, if I remember
Oh, the evening
correctly
sermon. That's big one
if
is
I rem-
tonight. Yes.
if I remember correctly, will be like in 1 hour or something. So let's get moving.
And she says, "All right then." And she kind of essentially like makes this little gesture with her hand, and suddenly the quill pen is just flying across the page. You know, like just page, like you're, to jump out of game for a second, like you're watching a laser printer, like right as it's going through. And after each one is done, the paper kind of floats up and rolls itself. And then a little ribbon flies up from the table where there's now a stack of these ribbons sitting there and ties itself. And then... And so in about 2 minutes, you've already got a couple hundred of these. And the last one is finished. And drifts over to her hand, and she looks at it. Yes, I think this will do. And then she hands it over to you, Greta. And on this paper, it says, "A spectacular testimonial to the light and life of Foltis, by the greatest adventurer and cleric of Foltis's light in the Sword Coast, Greta Goldenfire. Come tonight at," and then it gives the details of like the time and like the place that it's going to be. And then below in, then it's just doesn't have any like signature or anything, but at the bottom it has a drawing, and it has a drawing of someone, and at first you're looking at it and then you realize, Greta, it's an almost perfect line drawing of your face, smiling.
I can tell you that you did not read the room properly here.
It's a remarkable likeness.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
I think
What made you think that I would like this kind of invitation? What?
You'd prefer a different
girl.
one? Would you prefer a different one? We can make a different
humble one or something, because this is...
Oh, yes.
There is no best priest contest or anything like this.
And so she
I think you're
snaps
the
her...
best priest of Foltis.
She snaps her fingers, and you watch as the letters and picture in front of you literally re-alter, and like in front of your face, just... and now it says, "Please come hear some words from a simple, humble worshiper of Foltis." And then says at the bottom, "Sincerely," and then at the bottom says "Anonymous," and then underneath that, "GG."
sure it's going to have the desired effect.
I think the first revision.
If they're gonna lynch me for false advertising, you have to get me out of there.
Yeah,
I can take you invisible.
100%. River continue invisible better.
She says...
Yes, River can tell you.
She says, "Well,
keep poking you with the sticks, I'll say."
She says, "If you like,"
fluff ball.
and the girl says, if you like these invitations now, if you're all happy with them, then I'll make sure that they get distributed." And she kind of waits for a moment to see if anyone's going to be like, "Absolutely not, you son of a," and waits, and assuming that she doesn't hear any of that. If you're just sort of generally groaning, Greta, in a corner, she's not going to pay attention to that. And she sort of waves her hand, and the stack lifts, and the ribbon covered ones, and then and they start just flying. The door opens, and they just start flying out, flying to different places. And as you kind of look, you can see one of them unrolls and puts itself against the wall right across the street of a house on the other side, and they're just...
Why did she put ribbons on them then? Oh, well.
Presentation.
And
I mean, we could hide it in the crowd and sort of encourage cheers.
Isn't that cheating?
I don't know, it's your religion.
No, absolutely not. Wasn't cheating with the wrestling, it's not cheating with us.
Okay. Well then, let's go and have a sermon.
And she says, "Just before you go," and she looks over at you, River, and she says, "River, you're the official harper, the non-provisional one so far. And I'm wondering how you felt about traveling with these three so far. They're friends of yours, they're on probation, provisional harpers. How do you think they're measuring up so far?"
Oh, they're my favorite. Greta's so smart, and Urash is so strong, and Selsig's a ranger. He does all the rangery things, and it's really awesome. And they helped me. And once I had a bath, and then there was a geyser, and that was really exciting. But then they helped me, and well, I like them a lot. I think they should be promoted. Yes.
And she nods slowly and she says, I see. I'm glad that all the members of your party are so enthusiastic. And then she kind of looks over at you, Greta, quirky smile, and then turns back and says, but how do you feel, River, about how you've been over the last few months? Do you think you've lived up to what the Harpers want you to live up to?
For once, River is at a loss for words and just looks down contemplatively. It's just like, I don't know. I try.
And she says, have you learned what it means to be with others when you were alone so long? Have you learned what it means to be with these people, these friends?
Yeah. It's hard though. There's so much to learn and so many new things, and I'm not used to others.
And she nods and she says, would you rather be with these friends or alone?
Oh, I'd rather be here, 100 times here.
And she nods and she says, someday, River, you will unlock everything you can do. And then you'll have a decision to make about whether you're, and she stops for a minute, happy just being on your own in the forest as you were before, or whether you're going to embrace your power to help your friends. Everyone eventually has to decide what they'll do to save the ones that they love. Everyone. You all notice her manner, by the way, has changed significantly. Like, much less hesitant, voice is lower.
I know. I'm scared. But I can do it.
And she nods slowly and she says, let me see that pin of yours.
I hand it over.
And she kind of holds it up to the light, and you notice that she lets it go at one point. It's just like floating in front of her. And she kind of turns it around and she says, it's just a simple pin, right, River? But if you strike a different note, and she turns and she runs her finger. Now this is a pin, but she runs her finger across the metal and you hear this beautiful sound of a harp kind of floating through the air. She says, it's really what you believe about it that matters. If you think you have the strength to help, then you'll be able to. It's what you believe about yourself that matters more than what others do. It's what you think ultimately.
Wow. For once, River's actually at a loss for words and just staring, completely awestruck, and like taking it all in.
And she says, all of us believe in what you can do, River. And the rest of you. We have been watching and guiding. But the Harpers also follow the guidance of those that are Harpers. We need you to help lead as much as we lead you. We know that you're frustrated, Greta, that we're strange. But our strangeness is a shield and a sword against our enemies. And we have been a sword against the enemies of the good people of the Sword Coast for decades and decades. We are the one who helps the beggar in the evenings, the one who whispers wisdom to the kings in the morning. We are the one who watches as the good adventurers of Faerun seek out evil to destroy and defeat it, whispering, guiding, hinting. It is what makes us what we are. And it is possible that even in your frustration, we are protecting you from what might happen when those who don't agree with us were to attack us. We have a reason for what we do. Even those of us who have been in other places. Shadowdale, for instance. And she gives you again this smile, but the smile here is altogether different. Suddenly you have the sense that you're talking to something or someone immensely older than she appears.
You might want to live in the shadows and deal with all the secrets and intrigue. I do not. And apparently I have a sermon to do, and something crashed in the kitchen. So, it's very loudly. So, let's go.
And she nods and she says, "It is possible, Greta, that if you wish, we could try to send people to help them over time. You don't have to do this sermon. You're not obligated. It is your decision and choice, ultimately. It's just, we trust you more than I think you trust yourself. But we have no hold over you."
I do have an obligation to do this sermon. I don't think there's any sense in trying to explain it right now. Especially as time is short and we should go.
She nods and she says, "Then I wish you peace and best journeys. And we will be watching. All of you." And then she kind of looks at you, Greta, and then Selsig, and then Urash, and then finally looks at you, River, kind of most searchingly as she, I don't know if she handed the pin back to you, but if not, she hands it back now, and says, "If you are in need, that pin may be of aid to you. Think of it as a pleasant note when all around you is cacophony and dissonance."
Thank you.
And she nods and then stands, and the doors, which had closed after all the invitations went out, after all the notices went out, the door opens again.
I think we should do a sermon and then try to get him to bed and do some more shopping tomorrow.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay, so you're heading to the sermon now. The when you head to the Temple of Foltus, you'll remember that I mentioned that this place has some beautiful aspects to it. The stained glass windows in the outside are beautiful and so on, but a lot of it is very shabby and kind of run down, and it's in an area which is, although it's with other churches nearby it, it's not like the tallest or the most impressive looking. Like the Cathedral of Lathander makes this look like a joke, right? Like it's sort of small and very humble, and it's not very large inside. But when you walk into the church, so you're coming up to it, and when you're sort of walking around, you can hear there's kind of a murmuring at first, and at first you don't know, it like sounds like a couple of people, and then as you get closer, it seems louder and louder. And then when you actually get there, you can hear that there are a whole lot of people that are there. In fact, there are essentially lines out the door of people who are gathered and seem to be very sort of excitedly talking to each other and sort of whispering to each other. And as you come to the door where there's this big lines outside, you open it and you see that the pews are already filled, just wall to wall with people. And you notice that a lot of them are actually holding on to these notices, like they're either crumpled in their hand or they're kind of, have them nearby. And the leader of this church comes up to you, bustling up to you, and says, I can't understand it. I've never seen an evening prayer attendance like this. It's like they've all been, it's like they're here for a concert of some kind. And he sort of just stares and says, I talked to you before about this sermon, but I never expected this kind of a response. They seem as if they wish to be spoken to, I think, Greta. And if you will, they have not come to see me. And he kind of, looks at you earnestly.
I also have a 9-foot orc with me, so it's going to be a good show.
And he says, we'll find room somehow. We'll simply keep the doors open and move these things. And so you assuming he then turns to go back to the front, so you can follow him if you wish. Celsig, Urash, and River, if you want to be in the crowd, you can just be in the crew. But something odd happens, and I'd like Greta. I don't think you're going to notice this because you're following the priest. But Celsig, and Urash, and River, I'd like you all to make perception checks for me, please, because there's something odd as you kind of enter this place.
19.
Okay.
7. Church is big.
You're like,
Church big, people many.
People are here, yes.
This church, great.
And River...
Sorry, I'm having trouble bringing up my character sheet. I'm pretty sure it's just a normal D20 though, so I'll just run that.
Okay. 2?
Yeah, this
all
is
right,
a
you're
room.
like, what?
This is a
So you're in
room.
awe. So maybe the rest of you don't notice it, but in fact, Urash, if you even say something like, wow, this is a big church. Celsig, you saw the outside of this church. This is not that big a building. But as you walk inside, you feel like there must be hundreds of people. And yet, despite the fact that it is standing room only and all, there should be no way that this many people can fit inside this size building.
I hand the reins for Fluffball to Urash. Back in a second. And I scamper back outside.
Yep.
I'm like,
I proceed to stroke football mercilessly.
So when you come outside, when you walk outside, you see that it's not a big. It really isn't that big.
Yeah.
And there's still people that are coming in, filing into the church.
yeah. So I sort of take a rough arm measurement like that. I
Yep.
just walk back in the door, and then I'm looking at it on the inside.
Not even close. Looks 5 times the size inside that it does outside.
I walk back over to Urash. It's like, this place is bigger on the inside.
That's why the rent is so expensive.
You're right, it is big. This is a big room.
Oh man,
This
it's
is a big church.
the TARDIS rent experience. So yeah, for River, you
I'm
and
rolling around on the floor.
Yeah,
with
you and
football.
Urash are like-
we we're wrestling and stuff.
yeah, you're all like, wow, this seems like a big church, but Celsig, not to you. And Greta, so when you come up to the front, the priest turns around, and I'm going to say that the music is died down here, and people are sort of gathered about, and then I think we've got this. Yep.
Yeah, my entire perception of reality is under question right now.
Exactly. So he rings a couple of, I wish I had a bell with me, but ding ding, and lets it kind of resonate, and ding ding, ding ding, resonates, and sort of echoes throughout the room, and you all feel this kind of palpable sense of both peace but also anticipation kind of settle over the crowd. And they're all sort of looking up expectantly. And he says, "Children of Faltus, and those who have come for the first time, we welcome you to this blessed place, in the sight of our God and the light above. May his light shine upon your way. In our evening meditations, we have been joined by someone who wishes to provide us a message. One who is one of our own brethren, and who has traveled far to spread the light of Fultus. We hope that you will take this and take her message to heart as you listen. Sister Guldenfire, please. He kind of turns around and looks at you, and everyone is kind of like, you know, like all arrayed.
Gita gets in front of the crowd and is more like, so, hello.
And everyone, there's just dead silence. Okay, fair enough. I shouldn't say that. Dead silence except... Okay, so River, Dave, what do you say, River Selsigadorash? You could say.
I literally do that. I just go, woo!
So you just hear, woo! Like everything else is dead silent. Like...
I'm too busy discussing with Fluffball who is the goodest boy.
I'm small, so I sort of run around clapping to make it sound like it's coming from several locations.
You just echo it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're helping.
Okay. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Thank you. Oh God, Urash, Fluffball is the good boy. So.
Everyone kind of slowly looks back at Urash.
It's just like me and Fluffball just like in the middle of a wrestle.
Right, and Fluffball's like, you know, they're like all back. Then they look.
But in my defense, I need to know how he became such a good boy. Who's a good boy?
I'm the light of Fultus!
So.
Oh, great! You're doing great.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I usually do not hold sermons. But I don't think you usually come for sermons because this looks pretty full. So I don't think you're actually here for a sermon, because you might just be here because you want to hear what I have to say, and I don't even know if what I have to say is a sermon. But I can tell you about Fultus from my point of view, because I did not grow up in this big city. I actually grew up, as you might imagine, in a dwarven city, in a very traditional one inside of a mountain, where the only light came from lamps and torches. And so if I say the words, "May his light shine on your way," it has a very personal meaning for me, because losing all light within a mountain can lead to catastrophe. But in the past few years, I have learned that we need his light on all our ways, and that wherever I go, he is actually there, because he gives me the power to help my friends, and that is actually the important part. And I hope that this Church of Fultus can do the same for you, that it can shine light on your ways, and that if there is darkness in your life, that you can come here, and that this is a place for you, all of you, just like it was a place for me when I came first for the church. And that whatever help Fultus can offer you, that it will be here for you. And I don't know if this is a good sermon or not, but it's what I know. And I know that Fultus' teaching sometimes can be pretty rigid, because the brighter a light is, the darker is the shadows is cast. But the brighter a light is, from the further away you can see it. And that's also a good thing, because it should try to reach as many people as possible. So I've been traveling a lot in the last month, and I've seen a lot of places, a lot of different people, and I still believe, after all I've seen, that all they can be touched by the light of Foltest, no matter if they believe in him or not. Because the gifts that Foltest imparts on me are not only working on believers or something like that. They work for everyone. So he is actually like the sun who shines on all of us. And if you found your way here tonight, you might want to find your way here again. But for this place has to continue existing, and currently that is a very real life problem that cannot be solved by just light. So if you see any use in this place and in Foltest's light and teaching, I would ask you tonight to give graciously, so that this place is still open. If not only for people like me who gets called here, but maybe also for all the other people who need it. Thank you. Our church great.
While Greta's giving a speech, I'm going through the crowd just spreading her legend. So I'm like, Foltest helped her lead an army of goblins to save Tribor. And away. Right. I'm like, Foltest helped her save the slaves of Ironslag. I'm gone.
So you hear this as they go by. It's like, Ironslag? Occasionally you say that, and it sounds like maybe, it sounds like maybe they didn't quite hear some of it, and they're just like, did he say something about he saved the people, the tripig? What is it? And so they start like, well, no, Tribor, you know. So there's this little murmuring going on throughout the crowd. Greta, when
I erupt into cheering as soon as Greta finishes. I'm proper like fanboying, like, yeah, Greta, Foltest.
So you do that, and at first there is just sort of like there's not much, and everyone's looking up, and then one person
I kind of like shove the people near me to kind of encourage them.
Yep.
I'm running around and just under between people's legs going.
Yeah, and gradually one of them sort of like stands up next to you. This old, aged woman, very like rugged, as if she's seen, goodness knows how many winters, and kind of clamor, kind of like quavering, sort of stands up with her hand waving with this cane, and then says, well, if you want this church to go on, you've all heard her, give your money. You! And she points her cane at someone across the way. I saw you. That's right. I saw you the other day buying some dresses. If you can buy dresses, you can give some money to this church. Think about what that person has just said. And she points up at you. Look at her. She saved the Trilag and saved the slaves of Boarfest. And that's something. And that's what I have to say.
I also exploded a tower on top of a giant.
And she so she starts it back down. You said, and she exploded a tower that fell on a giant, and that is Foltest's power. So
and she saved my life, and she saved his hand.
And she saved his life and hand, or them. So yes, yep. They did things, and you need to. That's yes. And so there's silence, and then, well, I don't know about this Foltest, but I think we all need a place to go in this city. Can't go to the government, or at least not all the time. We need a place to be safe. And so you hear, and then you hear from somewhere else in the crowd, this little boy, the voice of a little boy say, yeah, he healed my ma when she was sick. Yeah, and that's right. And so you start hearing like these almost testimonials, like people kind of talking to each other and blah, 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 blah. And so there's this groundswell. And then you see the old woman says, kind of stands up again and like holds her cane, like waves it for silence, like, well, where's the offering plate? Take our money. And like looks around and like stares for the plate. So the
help.
As this is happening, I'm walking through. I'm just like, and she healed this scar, and this one would have killed me if she hadn't have healed me. And this is a spear that I'd have been a right goner if she wasn't there.
He also revived me from the dead.
Yeah, I motion over to.
They seem very
to
impressed
River,
by that. Like, oh.
And like, we both died, like at separate points, but like we both died, like dead. And Greta both died. Yeah,
Because
we're
of
better
her.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because of her.
A phone test.
And so they.
And Voltus.
It folds also.
As you say that, it sounds like
Isn't that
and
guy?
Foltus. Yeah, and Foltus.
And Voltus.
Remember the purpose.
So they so you hear people start to clamor for the end. Now the priest is holding the plate, and he kind of like holds it around, and it gets like through maybe one row of the pew, and it's just overflowing with like coins are falling off of it, and he's just like and so he summons over a couple of his acolytes, and they come over just sort of dressed in robes, and he says, well, here, and he whispers to them, and then they go and they get like these kind of ratty looking sacks of like burlap sacks, and he brings them over, and they like dump the plate into it, and then he sends the plate down again and more money, and then eventually he has to just like start sending the sack itself, so like the sack is just going down and being loaded down. Eventually the acolytes are like practically dragging this thing to the front.
I help with that. I'll carry a sack.
Okay, so you're able to carry it, and people
Yeah.
seem to be in a great mood. They're all sort of tossing in a coin or two. You see a couple of people that you're pretty sure, Selsig, probably know the inside of a brothel or a casino better than they would know the inside of a church, but they, scars off one side of their face, whatever, but they still, drop in a coin. And when all is said and done, they sort of drag things up to the front, and the priest kind of opens it and looks in and kind of looks up with this wondering expression in his face and on his face and says, I suppose. And then in the back you hear, all right, you lot, clear out here. And you hear this sort of scuffle in the back. And if you turn around to look, you will see that there are what look like guards dressed in Neverwinter livery that are kind of pushing their way through the people at the center. Not like, arresting them, but just like pushing their way. And they are accompanying this man who has sort of glasses down on his nose like this, and has got what looks like some kind of a large ledger, essentially. You can see marks in it, and there's like a big sort of leather-bound ledger that he holds in one hand, and he's got a quill pen in the other. And he comes up and he's like, yes, well, as we know, the time has come for you to pay the debt that you owe, and I have been asked to come so we can foreclose on what is left of this church. I am sorry, but you've been given your time. And the priest is kind of like, wait, but what do you mean, wait? The time has been given. You're several days late. You've been given your appropriate warnings. What are all these people doing here? This church is no longer a going concern, he says to the people around him.
Is this kind of a Neverwinter thing to not be being able to read the room at all? I mean...
It sounds like he just got there, in fairness, but yes.
So, hello. You're here to collect the outstanding debts, I gather?
The outstanding debt are well beyond their ability to pay, as they've made clear to us. So I'm
That
here
was
to
not the
foreclose.
question.
Well, if I suppose. I mean, it's really far too late.
Okay. Then how much is it?
But they owe 3,000, and with interest, at least 3,500 gold.
Yeah, well then we need to like count it out somehow, I guess.
Okay.
How does?
Did you bring a sack?
Yeah.
I believe if you give us some time to count this, and we move out of the way of the several sacks of gold.
So he kind of looks down and he starts by being like, "Listen, He stops and just like he just stares at the thing, and one of the guards behind him is like, and
I just sidle up next to him and I'm like, Voltist.
and he's like, he kind of stares down, like, this,
Believe in Voltus.
kind of looks over, and you hear the old lady say, well, get out of here, you vulture. You've got all the money that you need. He's like,
Yeah, what Church Grand said.
yeah, and the people around him, you can tell, are looking a little like, it's a little ugly of a scene in that the people are kind of like they are clearly not fans of these guys, and the guards are like, Your Grace, perhaps we should just take the money and depart. Yes. We will. We will address the concern later at another time. And he reaches for the sack and like pulls it and almost falls over because it doesn't go anywhere
Nope.
because it just. He's like,
Nope, no. How much is this?
Nope.
Count it out.
Nope. We count this first.
Yeah.
So you get your payment, and then the church gets the rest.
And the people around are getting more and more like agitated, like stupid.
So I'm sorry, you're stealing from a church?
And you can hear
You have no honor.
and so yeah, there's a couple people standing. One of them's just like, oh, starts shouting, and the priest is like, good people of, and he kind of nudges you, Greta, like, this is not a good decision.
So we everyone, we just need to pay this guy and he will leave. I get the feeling that you really do not like this guy. So if you do want to keep him unhappy, make sure that the church can pay every month.
And they sort of look at you and kind of nod slowly, and Urash, you hear someone say close to you, like, I'd like to see that stuffed shirt pay for his pay. Let's do that again. It comes back every month and he'll get the same reaction too. What? Yeah, it's like what he did to old Fred down there at the crossroads. Oh yeah, I remember it. And they're like talking to each other about the man and about rich people and, about like the oppressors and all this stuff and all this business. And so they do this and it's like, yeah, he's one of the 1% right there. We're the 99% we are. And he kind of like, kind of patting each other on the back. So in the meantime, are one of you counting this out? Or, because he can just dump it out on the floor, or like, how do you want to help, or do you want to just kind of...
Celsic.
I have assumed I will not be allowed anywhere near this money, even if I could.
Well, he's our official wealth distribution expert. I have an empty sack. If you could count 3.5 grand into this, that'd be super.
Okay.
Please help sort
For the greater good.
Yeah, that is it. And of course, all of these coins are...
Time to shine.
Celsic, I would like you to make... Oh, God, what check?
Advanced mathematics.
Yeah, I gotta... Oh, God. Make... No, you know what? I'm going to give you a chance here. You pitch it to me. What check should you be making to do this? Because I can imagine the default would be like an intelligence check, but if you have a proficiency you want to use for this, I'll take it under advisement. For the Greta good. I see what you did there, Brian.
Intelligence in itself wouldn't be too bad, I suppose.
Selig, roll for restraint. No, not a saving throw. You just dive in it like Scrooge McDuck and just woo.
It forms a solid mass.
I'm looking at them. I'm just trying to think like one that would like by weight. I could gauge the weight of the coins.
Right.
So that probably could do intelligence again.
Okay, I tell you what I'm going to do. You can do that. I could also see you making a dexterity check to see how fast you can run through these coins, because they're all different denominations. Mm-hmm. You think you may see a couple of Canadian nickels in there, like they're a little bit. They're all kind of different.
Who gave the wooden one? Hold up.
All right, listen. This says Tons of Fun Arcade. Can we not, please?
I don't even know what Chuck E. Cheese is.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, I'll
like
do
Dave
I'll
and
take
Buster's
Dex.
card or something.
15.
Okay, so yeah, you see Celsig start to like get this very intent look on his face, and then just start, like a well-oiled machine, like 1, 5, 10, 1, 5, 10, 20, 20, 50, 50, 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, blowing through this, and then you do it so well that Greta at a certain point actually vanishes completely from the scene. And there's a moment where you feel like, wait, I think that River has been transplanted with Greta. And so you sort of look at this moment. It's almost like you've had a vision of something entirely different.
Wait, now
Calculated so hard, everybody changed identities.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's when
Now you're the
mathematics is so
ranger.
hard that this is what you end up with. Exactly. Yeah, it was like New River. So you're like, so you see like if those of you standing next to him see that he's moving so quickly that you almost wonder if you smell something slightly burning, like his fingers are moving so quickly that they're kind of accelerating through denominations.
I just folded my arms and I nudged the person next to me. I'm like, oh fuck, I love to watch him work. Like this is just amazing.
They're all like, he runs like That one should be running a bank. He should. Yeah.
When he gets in the zone, there's no stopping him, our Selsig.
So you get through that.
All rangers know how to do that?
I think so.
Everyone's like,
Wow.
"That's a ranger, is it?" Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a ranger. Yeah.
So after
One of the
about
wild folk.
10 minutes of frantic counting at speeds heretofore unknown by Halfling or anyone else, you are pretty confident that you've reached the sum of 3,500 gold, and the sack's about half empty.
So I go 3,500.
And the guy, the man with
I
the
just tied the
glasses, who's
sack.
just been standing there, is kind of like, sort of half open, like mouth half open the whole time, and then he just sort of stares, like, yes, well, all right, that well, yes, thank you, and he sort of looks, and everyone's just staring at him silently, and he turns to the father or the priest at the front and says, and don't be late again, and then sort of gradually Homer Simpsons his way out of the...
Right, yeah.
What about the
motion to
receipt?
bag. I'm like, that'll do you, off you pop.
Proof of payment.
Oh, yeah, proof of payment.
And so
What
he
you said.
so he writes down on his ledger, like received from Shrine of Fultus in X district, blah, blah, 3,500 gold in the month of our Lord, blah, 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 and fills that out and then hands it over to the priest and sort of gradually makes his way out with the guards. And the minute he leaves, like, the priest looks up and holds it and says, it looks like we could stay, and just the place erupts, like applause. People are patting everyone on the back. Urash, like 3 people are patting you on the back. And, River, people are kind of going over and kind of admiring your scales and like, how did you rise from the dead? Talking to you about that. And like, Selsig, they're all like, looking at your very sore hands and fingers, just sort of like, wow, that's impressive. And he's like, I've never seen anything like that.
Can I get a bucket of water, please?
Yes, and they bring over a little bit to pour. And, but most of all, Greta, the biggest amount of attention is reserved for you, where people continue to come over, old, young, tall, short, every conceivable level of rich, poor, that you could see, comes over and kind of, thanks you, and, smiles and kind of, thanks you. And this goes on for a few minutes as people begin to make their way out. Yeah, go ahead, Greta. You can respond
I
to that.
still have some healing spells left, so if there's anybody approaching me in need of healing, I will just use up all my slots.
There are a couple, and they appreciate that. They very much, as you do that. A couple of them seem to be kind of bent over as you cast the healing. They feel better, like they say they haven't felt this good in a while. They couldn't afford one of the healers. They couldn't go to one of the, the sorcerers. And so they go through this, and as these people are beginning to file out very happily, you can see that there's still a lot of people left. And I would like, I guess, everybody to make a perception check for me, please.
$15.
Okay. 7, 4. Okay. Was that do I
I'm
see a
busy.
23?
That was 23 for me. Apparently, I perceived that the church can grow even larger.
Yeah. It seems to fit since you were the first one who saw that. No, you don't see the church being larger, but you do see the old woman that was doing the whole, like, waving the cane around, making her way out of the church. And it's quite possibly a trick of the light, Selsig. Undoubtedly it is. But as you see her passing out with a bunch of the other people leaving the sanctuary, for a moment, you would swear that the face that's looking at you is not of an old woman, but an old man with a long beard and a pointed red hat who winks at you, and then, probably just a trick of the light, is gone again. And soon the church is completely empty, except for just the 4 of you and a couple of the acolytes and the priest, who just is sitting on the front pew, like looking totally exhausted and just staring at the receipt in his hand of, like, just sort of staring at this receipt, and says, I cannot believe it. I wouldn't have thought it possible. Fultus clearly brought you to us, Greta. As we had said, all of it is indeed true.
Well, yes, but let's not do this again.
He says, no, look, and he points at the sack, and the sack is, as I said, the sack is half full now. So then remember that money was back pay that you were giving them, right? So like back rent or whatever. So he says, with this, we should have enough to create some kind of plan in case we run low again. And perhaps, well, with all the people that signed up today that said they'll be back for sermons, we could get the church fixed up. Perhaps a new altar and new wood on the inside. I don't understand.
I think a new altar is like not the most important part of a church.
The investing for an emergency is definitely a good idea.
Oh yes. What that we will do. We'll be able to put this. We have a secret vault below the church, which has been empty except for dust for decades. Now we have something to put inside it to keep safe. It is a little bit of light in the darkness. I cannot believe it. I don't understand how this many people fit in the church. It shouldn't have been able to hold that many.
I seriously wouldn't worry about this right now. Just
It
accept
did
it.
seem bigger when I came in.
And he kind of looks at you. He says, well, and he stands and sort of, Greta, and sort of overcome, like, seems like he's ready to give you a hug. And then he's like, and he doesn't do that. He just says instead, thank you so much for everything.
I awkwardly pat him on the shoulder.
Yeah, he does the same. That's exactly. He's like, and he says, thank you. I thank you so much. And he kind of lowers his eyes. He says, if there is anything that you ever need, please, we will happily provide it. Anything that we can do.
A resurrection scroll.
Of course. Who? Which one? And he sort of like, oh no, not
Which
all of
one?
you are alive. He's like, he's sort of like so flustered. He's like, which one of you needs to be resurrected? Oh, you look well, and he sort of falters, but then he's like, of course.
Yes. Okay. Yay. Okay. We did it. Yay.
And
You can do it.
So, as you prepare to depart, this is a good moment for me to welcome everybody who's here watching episode 233 of Pen and Pixels here on GOG. I am playing with this lovely group of people and friends, D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder, and Pyron J, Darksaber 2K, Mike Smith, and Tasty Chai plus Baby are all playing for you, these wonderful players in this wonderful campaign. If you like it, please consider following the channel here. Please consider subscribing to us here on GOG.com. GOG.com is constantly, GOG.com's Twitch channel has constantly got events happening and surprises and all kinds of things managed ably by the amazing Pyron Jade. So please support us if you can, support the channel, and most of all, support the community. One of the things I love about Dungeons & Dragons is not just getting the chance to play with friends, but getting the chance to do so and building a community around what we do. And if you find yourself ever laughing, crying, smiling, feeling angry at characters, and then triumphant, and then sad, and if that ever moves you in any way, that is an appeal to common humanity, which these games do very well, and they're reflective of what I hope that we can have in life generally. So go out, help people as much as you can, and thank you all for being here. So, yes, so you are now, at this point you can do whatever you like, party. It is evening, obviously. It's not like midnight, but it's probably, 9 o'clock at night, let us say. The lamp lighters are out lighting the torches in the streets.
Did he give me the scroll?
He did. He 100%
Do I know how
did.
to use it?
Yes, I would say so. It's a scroll which is above your level, so it means that when you use it, essentially the scroll goes blank. Like it's a one-use only deal. But because it's resurrection, it can bring people back, and creatures in general. It can bring them back from long time ago. It doesn't have to be within the last 24 hours, you know. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice, Wolf. So laugh until you cry most times because streams are awesome here. Well, that's great. That's what we're doing. That's what we try for. Okay. So, you folks are now able to depart if you wish and head wherever you want to head.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is there anything in the stories of Foltest about an old man with a long beard and a red pointed hat?
Yes, there is. It's one of the ways that Foltus gets, like, displayed.
Huh.
Why?
Oh, no reason. Just saw someone with a passing resemblance.
Could have been a priest. Some of the old ones like to dress up similarly to show where they belong.
Yeah,
we need to
sure.
take care of this. I like hold the scroll like it might, I don't know, incinerate. We can take this back to the Maelstrom, and we can hopefully maybe resurrect the queen.
We
Which
need
would save us.
We would need access to her corpse first.
Oh, we never asked. I don't think they burned it, right? I mean, they are like the water living kind of giants.
They're storm giants. That's right.
But we'd need beyond. I have a resurrection scroll. We'd have to have a big reason. Because not everybody there wants us doing stuff like that.
I mean, we could at
I
least.
think as long as we talk to Sarissa, like that'd be fine, right?
We could at least ask, like, I mean, maybe. I do not know how they bury their body. Maybe they feed it to the fish or something. We should find out.
It's gonna open for nothing.
It could be our ace in the sleeve. I mean, ace in the hole, not sleeve. Why would you keep an ace up your sleeve?
I have no idea. Why would you do that?
No, it's sorry.
No one would do that.
It's my clear lack of knowledge of cards coming through there as a ranger.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a lot of experience with cards, do you? So
No,
I've never seen
no.
you play cards, so.
That wouldn't make any sense because then nobody can see it.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
You're not allowed to keep cards up your sleeve.
Yeah.
I first need a night of sleep. I'm a bit drained from all the healing and everything.
Indeed. I can understand that.
Anybody has
Tells me
enough-
what I do.
Anybody has enough money left for a hostel or something?
I got literally nothing.
I'll get us something.
Ace.
Just answering the unspoken question in the air there.
So you pull an ace from your sleeve and
Yes.
The unspoken question now is like, how much money do you have
I
left?
reach at one sleeve, pull out an ace. Whoops.
Yeah.
Other sleeve, pull out my purse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so where are you folks going to try to get some sleep?
Somewhere decent.
Okay.
Not extravagant, but a good hot meal, nice clean rooms. Nowhere too rowdy.
Fair enough.
Somewhere where we won't get stabbed in our sleep. Some like that.
Good. Yeah, good.
I also like not being stabbed in my sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. You are go to a lively tavern. Yeah, there we go. So you go to this. You are able to find this lively tavern known as, it is called the Slaughtered Ox. It has rather an unfortunate sign outside with an ox literally lying on the ground with a dramatic-looking like farmer or something standing above him. And inside you can see that it's packed. And in fact, you actually see a few people who were at the sermon who, after giving money to the church, have decided to go drink off some of the things they had left. So there's a few who come over and, hey, and a couple people offer to buy you drinks and so forth. But you're able to find a room within that tavern that they have on the second floor of this Slaughtered Ox. And they offer you a quality room for a silver piece for the night, and that will be included with an evening sort of nightcap food-wise, so they'll bring you some food and some snacks and stuff like that. And then in the morning, you get your full breakfast. So they got the waffle maker, you know, the whole drill. They got that going on. They've got the omelet station. Everyone needs the omelet station. Delicious breakfast in the morning. And it's a nice room that has got 4 beds, spaced out more than perhaps some of the places you've stayed in the past. So you actually have can actually move around without banging into everybody else by accident.
Room for a mastiff.
Windows on the street. Yes. And when you first come in, actually the innkeeper is a little bit like, not, seems to be like a little bit hesitant on, taking in Fluffball. And then one of the people that saw you give the sermon basically is like, oh, go on. He can let him in, like basically shames him into being like, all right,
the
fine.
Goodest dog of Faltus.
It's like, he's the goodest dog of Faltus. You should have seen it. I did. And
he's absolutely the goodest boy.
Yeah.
Absolutely
and so
the goodest boy.
Fluffball, the goodest boy, is able to come up and just kind of like curl up, and Fluffball looks pretty tired too, actually, and so Fluffball, happily just kind of falls over on his side.
Take his saddle off, give him a brush, feed him. Let him know he's off duty.
He seems very kind of, now remember, Fluffball is always reasonably chill anyway, but when you sort of take the thing off, he's just kind of like, eyes barely open, as you're doing the brushing, kind of like leaning his neck forward, type of thing as you're doing the brushing, so at that point you can take your rest. Now I should say that this is obviously going to count as a long rest, and some of you, believe it or not, still had some hit points to recover. So if you want, you could use hit dice here, if you wish, and then you'll also during this long rest be able to restore half of your used hit dice. So you can use hit dice, roll those to get hit points, and then during this long rest you can also restore half of your total used hit dice. So you use hit dice first, and then you can get half back of what you've used overall. So however many hit dice you've used, you can get half of those back. And this is not relevant to spell casting, Greta. You'll be able to get your spells back as normal, but this is just for people who are healing the old-fashioned way, basically, not using magic or prayer.
Quick technical question.
Yeah.
Does a long rest not heal us anyway?
Oh, that's true. The short rest, I guess you could use hit dice for. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you just get the hit dice back. Yeah, that's true. Because I did say long rest. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So you get your you get your hit points back, but you will get half of the currently used hit dice. Yeah, sorry. So however many hit dice you've used. You get half.
Unless something interrupts your rest.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Well, the
my God.
Adventures of Middle-earth campaign does things a little bit differently, and I was just talking to them this morning.
see.
So anyway, my bad. Yeah, you're right.
I look at Salsik and the dog. Salsik, how often does he have to, go?
He goes pretty fast.
I can walk him. I can definitely walk him.
Just.
Go! I don't know, actually. I'm sure he'll let us know. He's pretty intelligent.
Okay, just.
He kind of lolls his head. Over in your direction.
How does this even work? Do you have to pick up his poo?
I didn't see any signs saying I had to.
I'm just fussing Fluffball at this point. I'm
We
just
can just
obsessed
pretend
with
it's-
just stroking Fluffball.
You don't clean up after a horse.
No, because people want the stuff a horse drops. There are people making a living from picking it up.
Oh, I assume he drops the same as a horse, just less of it.
No. Horse poo is plant matter. People want that for their gardens and stuff. It's not the same with meat eaters.
You know a lot about this.
Fluffball turns his expression to you in a slightly wounded way. Like he looks at you. You're probably just imagining it, but he looks kind of like, "Wow, all right then."
It's
Look
true.
at Fluff.
We don't want your food.
Yeah.
I look back at
No,
Fluff.
not me.
Come on. I mean, it's
I'm
true.
leaving a present for you tonight.
I'll show you what a meat eater can do.
Yeah. You just wait till you put those fancy gloves back on.
Yeah, and Barrier War was fought over horse manure, but that's fair. Okay.
And that is a really, really good book series that everyone should read.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so yes, hit points are healed. Also, yeah, okay, yes, I'm just double checking. Yep. So hit points are healed. And assuming that no one's doing anything else for the evening, etc. It's up to you. If you are, you can tell me. Otherwise, do you?
I will do an extended evening prayer because I'm not sure of what I did today.
Okay. I think it's fair to say that you feel pretty, despite your being exhaustion, feel pretty in touch with your god, I would say. You certainly feel Foltus's presence to a greater degree than in recent times, even, based on what you talked about tonight, so it would seem. When the next morning comes, the downstairs has been, cleaned out, basically, considerably quieter. Now we just have a few people that are basically there hanging out, and the happy music is past. There's just the one, the one person sweeping, the like crockery and all that stuff that was broken from the night before. That sort of sad situation down there. And let's go back to this one. And outside, you can hear that the city has begun to wake. And has begun to sort of stir as people start to gather outside in the streets and attend to their various activities, as you have to attend to your activities. And so the question is, where now?
Well, we didn't get stabbed. Today's going to be a good day.
That was a good night's sleep. That was a very good night's sleep. I'm not gonna lie.
It's been a long time.
Oh, yes.
Should we still go to Yartar, or should we just go to the body and do the wiggly jiggly with the resurrection spell?
Well, first I'm going to eat this, and I have a plate stacked half my height with just breakfast food.
Waffles, sausage,
There's a
bacon,
buffet,
egg.
and River is.
Good thing I paid up front.
Breakfast time.
Yep.
I just sitting at our breakfast. I'm like, we finally got a good night of sleep in a bed, and we're having breakfast, and we did not get stabbed.
Actual food, not
Actual
rations.
food, actual comfort,
God, this is
actual
so good.
safety, relative safety, which at this point we'll take. It's a good night's sleep. Yeah, not gonna lie.
I'm feeding Fluffball the goodest boy bacon from a plate as well.
This is the life.
Well
isn't it?
deserved.
Yeah.
Ah.
Fluffball is very, very, again, Fluffball doesn't show a lot of external, reactions to things, but every time he eats the bacon, he's kind of everything is like, this is quality, and then just kind of waits, like, the next piece, please,
Where's the next piece?
Yeah, exactly. So Fluffball seems fine. So everything seems okay. It's also you can hear outside. There's just a little bit like the faintest drizzle outside, and as you look outside, you can see it's a little bit overcast, and the air seems fresh and kind of a little foggy, misty this morning.
Well, I'm going to stick with you guys. I need to be back here in I think 3 days now. To pick up my axe. So whether we're going somewhere else and then maybe coming back, or we're doing stuff here for a few days, I'm gonna follow you guys.
I mean, we do have a fancy teleporty thingy.
Very.
I'm not
very, very
comfortable going to Yartar until Uresh has his axe, though.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine by me. I just bring out the spear, and I'm just like, I also have this.
Which would you rather have if it turns out to be a trap?
The axe.
There we go.
100%. In a pinch, I can use anything bladed. But...
We could also go back to the Maelstrom and see if there is something we can resurrect.
I think that's a really good shout. When we wanted to get that resurrection scroll for that reason. Right?
We were barely able to convince them to let us go to search for evidence.
But
they might not be too happy if we just turn up and go, we haven't got any evidence, but we got a resurrection scroll.
Well, as I think resurrection scrolls, and it's Zurash being super dumb about this, but I think they're 1 in a million. So I don't think everyone has one. So I don't think the giants will know what they are.
They might be a bit weird about necromancy too.
It's not necromancy.
I just look at Greta. I'm like, is this necromancy?
No, it's not necromancy.
I've heard bad stuff.
But
about
they're-
necromancy.
You're taking something dead
Yes.
and you're changing it to be not dead.
Yeah, necromancy.
like
if you
necromancy.
take something
Yeah.
dead, but necromancy is if you take something dead and it stays dead, and you do bad things with it.
So are you?
But I thought they
so-
were undead.
So
No. Something that is undead is still dead. It's not alive. It's like
But something that's dead and been brought back to life isn't dead anymore.
No.
sorry, I can't stop watching China.
No. It's like, for example, if a necromancer turns somebody undead, they put life energy into that thing to make it move around and appear to be alive, but the thing is not alive out of itself. While a resurrection scroll makes people be alive out of themselves, so they are alive themselves. They are not being necromantically animated.
This is literally the face you're actually pulling right now.
Yeah, I'm not far off.
So what I'm saying
So-
is we're not creating a zombie.
Are we creating a skeleton?
What about if it doesn't work?
It's a proper scroll from the Church of Photos.
Can it work halfway
Okay.
so we end up with necromancy?
No.
Okay, that's good, because that would be really stressful.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Because they might be annoyed at us for going back, and then it's like, okay, so we sort of brought your mum back. There is a catch.
We brought half of your mum back. Sorry. But it's okay, because now we're going to kill her and set her on fire.
She's not a giant. She's a regular sized person now. You brought her back.
But it's okay, because we burned the bones. It's absolutely fine. Sorry for the desecration.
She can move her left leg and her right arm.
Yeah. Motor skill's not great, but I mean, the hunger for brains is just on point.
I wasn't nervous
So you
about
get
this
it?
before, but I am now. I was like,
I genuinely look at Greta and say, do you think this is going to bring the giant queen back to life, not a zombie or a ghost or a whatever? Do you think this is going to bring her back to normal?
I think that if it works and if there is a corpse that we can actually resurrect, then it will bring her back to normal. There is no chance of this making somebody a zombie or any other evil undead creature.
No, I'm in.
You can see like a new thing, like doubt in Greta's eyes, unless the church gave me the wrong scroll, which they did not.
I'm in. If you believe it, like you're the
I
expert in this.
agree, but I think Imarith's gonna still holds a lot of sway in court and could block us being given permission to use this.
Well,
Unless
in
we
that
can
case-
gather evidence.
In that case, we ask why. Like, why would she not? Why would she want that?
They could come up
So
with
then-
any number of reasons. And I go,
Yeah,
oh, let me
it's-
see the
it's-
scroll, and oh, it's a fake, and destroy it immediately.
But it's
Unless we
Sarissa's
return-
decision.
We return with a scroll of resurrection in one hand, proof that Imarith isn't who they say they are in the other.
Yes, but we need an axe for that. And who has 3 days? Unless it's 3 days of eating, in which case I have 3 days.
I wouldn't mind spend 3 days in this hostel, I have to admit.
I mean, the break is lovely. Don't get me wrong. But I am also aware that this could be a quick turnaround for us if we just asked to speak with Sarissa, just one of us, just Greta, just on your own, right? Imrith can whinge about it, but it is Sarissa. Sarissa's in charge, right? And she's already trusted us to find out what happened because of this token.
Which we
there's-
haven't done
there's-
yet.
No, that's true, but there is trust there, right? If we pop back and go, okay, right, we're still doing that quest, but in the meantime, how about this? You wanted evidence, but I could bring your mum back to life.
I mean, there's a certain risk that the queen does not know who killed her. Because, I don't know, it was dark or something.
Well, that would be
True.
unfortunate.
But then there's one more giant monarch there who's kind of on our side, because did they not say Sarissa takes after her mother, who is fond of the little folk? So we're not like resurrecting someone who wants to squash people. So, whereas at the minute, Sarissa's kind of the only one, other than Zephyros and Harshnag. Harshnag is MIA. Zephyros is still probably circling a mountain somewhere. Like, Sarissa's the only one that doesn't want to squash us into jelly right now.
You know, but
Right now.
if the queen,
Right now.
if the queen implicates Imrith and Imrith is there, I'm not sure I want to be there alone.
So if when you try and make it like, I mean, I'm assuming this isn't going to be like, oh yeah, so we stored the queen in a cupboard in Imrith's room or whatever. I'm assuming it's if they've kept the body, they're going to be somewhere sacred. But if it's been a while, like it could just be a gravesite. At which point,
Maybe we're saying if we're going into a situation where we might be getting into a fight with giants, you're definitely going to want your axe.
This is true. This is very true.
I
I'm on board
propose.
with eating for 3 days. I like this plan.
We could go to Yartar until the axe is ready. I'm confident we could handle whatever's waiting for us there without an axe.
I just kind of.
Unless it's Imrith.
I don't think it's gonna be.
Yeah, but
enough.
we've got maybe Imarith or definitely Imarith.
Yeah,
There's somebody.
I'd take
somebody
maybe
is-
over definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And I'm
somebody
like-
knows that we're here, and
I'm like, I can't, guys. I can't sit around for 3 days. Like, I can't.
No.
I can't sit and do nothing in Tempest's name for 3 days. Like, especially.
Not
when this
nothing. We will be recovering our strength with waffles.
that is true. I'm just like, but over the last 2 years or so, like I've had maybe a day's worth of rest over in between different encounters, and I think these guys have as well. Like we're
You've
good
been
right
unconscious lots of times.
now. Yeah, that's more, not being able to wake up rather than recovering.
how about it is nearly 10:04 and we decide that this next time is like kind of a cliffhanger. Nobody knows where we're going.
I wondered if you
I
were
say
going
we
to
go
finish.
Yalta.
Well, I wondered. I was going to say. I was wondering if you were going to finish the. I think we're going to go here. I was going to, but I don't know if anyone is. Do you need to think about it? The four of you?
I
I
think
vote-
we wait
I
for
vote
the axe
Yartar.
and go to Yartar.
Oh, you want to wait for the axe?
No, go to Yartar while we wait for the axe.
Go to Yalta, then come back to the axe.
Strengthen
Go
our
then
argument for resurrecting
Go
the
to
queen.
Maelstrom.
Two
Yeah.
votes for
Maybe there's-
Yartar,
Maybe there's something in Yalta that would help us implicate Imra.
and then
I
Greta's
also
voting
vote for
for Narissa for going and resurrecting. Is that?
Yeah, I'm afraid that the queen might not know who killed her, or if the body is in really bad shape, that I might upset Sarissa, or something. So be doubly sure and go to Yatar where a trap is.
Okay, so 3 for Yalta,
Seems to
Yeah,
be
yes,
good idea.
yes.
4
Agreed.
for Yalta.
You guys
That's
apparently
good.
eating waffles for 3 days is just not an option for you.
They're offers with us.
You could bring
Aye.
3 days of waffles with you.
Can
And
I
then
though? Do I have enough pockets for that?
Well, I took like a week's worth of food from the breakfast nook, and that didn't go well after like 6 hours. Like that just turned into soup. That's not good.
But breakfast soup is still edible.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was delicious. I still ate it. But,
So then,
I mean,
as
that saw me through a long couple of days.
as I
But
understand
we
it,
do remember that Yatar is a trap, right?
We think
Might be a
it's
trap.
probably going to be, but we don't know for sure.
Might be a trap.
But we're
You've
going
got a
prepared.
mysterious note. We're going
Unless we
thinking
literally
it's-
materialize with spears pointed at us.
I mean, that's not the worst scenario we've been in. Let's be honest.
It's not. It's not.
Let's teleport to Yatar. Yoo-hoo!
I
To be
reckon that.
fair, there's no evidence that anyone except us knows of or has access to this teleport network. Even the Harpers seem to have lost the key.
I mean, I did sort of yell at the front door that we were there to use their super secret teleporter, but I don't think anyone noticed.
I think they just card it because they don't know what happened to the key.
so as you folks make your way from the slaughtered ox to the teleportation area to the Harper's place where you can teleport to Yartar, you move through the streets, which are now clean and fresh with a little bit of morning rain. You feel energized, filled with waffle, and looking forward to what happens. And so none of you necessarily might notice a little bit of a cutscene as you enter the Harper's place. Again, no one is there. Door opens. You climb up the stairs to use the teleporter. And as you get onto the teleportation platform, you might not notice a certain red-cloaked, red-hatted, long white bearded figure who sort of waits as if listening for something. And then as you teleport away, smiles, not unpleasantly, and nods and turns and then heads off down the streets of Neverwinter. And that is where we will bring our session today to a close. Because, yes, the time has come for us to give way to Mr. Blackheart. And we are not going to reconvene Sadness for a month. We're not going to be here doing this again for another month. But that's okay. It'll make it all that much better in August when we come back. And Yartar! And again, the stage which we have called Caught in the Tentacles. And I'm just saying, you draw your own conclusions about Saber's, proximity to this kind of a phrase. But that's the deal with that. Wonderful session today, folks. It was a lot of fun to see everyone play through it. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. River, I was, I appreciate the fact that you were still back and forth. Boy, do I remember those days very well. So I appreciate that you were able to hang in there nonetheless, and that baby lent you to us again for another few hours. And I was enjoying actually getting a sense of, I really like the interaction with you and the Harpers, where, the Harpers were kind of like reminding you about what they see in you, which I thought was kind of fun. So how'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I really liked today, even though I'm currently being attacked by my infant, which has been fun. But yeah, it was really cool, like finding River's vulnerable side and kind of getting to know her history a little bit. That was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can elaborate on that a little bit more, so that way we can all kind of learn about who River was and is becoming, which is always exciting. As for where people will see me next, I will be streaming tomorrow on my personal channel. We're building Skytown in Minecraft, and I'm playing Minecraft because of this one. So I'm going to keep playing Minecraft for a little while yet, until I can stream for longer intervals.
Very good stuff. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Chai. I look forward to more of that, as we talked about tonight. Also, really enjoyed, Mike, getting to see a little bit of Urash's, like I was having fun with the whole playing with Fluffball. Last session we had a lot of attention paid to Urash and the weapon and stuff, and so Urash was a little bit more in the background of this one as as others were sort of jumping up to the forefront. But the still question of how to do the axe, not to do the axe, and all that business came up. And again, I was enjoying the idea of you being like, yeah, this is the best, like in the church, in the sermon scene. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I felt really good about today. Yeah, I always feel good about these sessions, to be honest with you. I'm really, really pleased that we got to do this session. I'm really pleased that all of our calendars kind of convened so that we could do this, especially before the move. Spoiler alert, this is the last time you'll see this background. Next time you see me, I'll have
we'll be in a church sanctuary with stained glass.
Yeah. I'm moving to a convent. Potentially different manila colored background. I'm not quite sure at this point. But yeah, so yeah, the move will happen very soon, and then you'll see me in a completely different house, which will be exciting, and we'll get to Yartar. But yeah, if anybody wants to follow me, that's absolutely fantastic. There are some bits and pieces, kind of a lot of cogs turning at the moment, a lot of little different bits of work that's currently going on. You can follow me on Twitter at Peripheral Mike. I've recently published a couple of YouTube videos. I say published like in the 90s or something. So I've just uploaded some YouTube videos, one on attending online conferences, so it's just some tricks and tips on that. And also I've attended a retro video games fair in Nottingham last year, back before the world went crazy bananas. And that was just really, really fun, and that kind of knits into another retro project and another retro project I've got going on at the moment. So yeah, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, there's video footage of me kind of bimbling around a retro fair going, oh, look, old stuff, so yeah, check that out. But that's pretty much it, and I will catch you all next time.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure. We'll be speaking more, of course, about video things and stuff coming up here. Saber, I was also again really enjoying the kind of the scene with you counting out the money at incredible speeds, and and sort of people being like, this is what a ranger is capable of doing, was a lot of fun. And yeah, I was also enjoying you kind of getting a sense of. It was funny to me that you kept being the one who perceived, like, you saw the person leaving, you're like, did you all see that this is big? And everyone's like doing what they're doing. You're like, something's not quite, so that was fun. How'd you feel about today? Where would lovely folks see you next?
It's been a great session. I got the giggles quite a lot today, as people probably noticed. Being tired probably contributed a lot, but having just really funny, entertaining people to play D&D with, definitely the major factor on that.
Amen.
It's always great. I always have a laugh. Just when Celtic and Rib both went, we got better.
Yeah, exactly.
Lost it for that.
God.
Yeah, and it's been great to be able to do 3 sessions so close together, even though it's going to be like a month until the next one. It's going to feel weird.
Yeah.
But I'll be back tomorrow right here on GOG. Haven't picked a game yet. I want to see what's on the sale tomorrow before I decide. And I'll be back on my own channel on Thursday when I'm carrying on my playthrough of Persona 4 Golden, which is still nowhere near the end, about 70 hours in. But
I was going to say, we'll finish in
so...
2050 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Saber. And again, thank you for the help as always with Dashboard and Moobot. I appreciate it. Last but certainly not least, Pyron, great work today. I was conscious, and I really was a little worried. I did not want you to get the sense of being, especially when you were tired, actually railroaded into something. But like, oh God, I have to do this sermon. But you really rose to this occasion significantly. I thought the sermon really kind of fit. It felt very Greta to me, like Greta was not going to be like, people of fault, like, you weren't going to do it like that. So I thought that it was really a nice kind of reflection of what Greta actually was, and was this nice little sort of side moment. I think that these campaigns are composed of obviously not just the main story, but these side moments that fill in aspects of character and to develop this sense of how the world moves forward. Because it's not just about a story, it's about the people that live that story. So I thought it was nice to see that take place. And yeah, it felt very Greta-y to me. So I was glad to see Greta get some time on the stage with that. How did you feel about tonight? Where will the folks see you next?
I also love that we got another session in. So we had 3 sessions within 4 weeks.
I know. I was like,
awesome?
yes, mana from heaven.
Yes.
Give me more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. I also have to be completely honest. I yearn this human contact in these times so much.
Yeah.
So yes, I am happy. So when are we going to see the people next? I'm planning on streaming as soon as Littlewood comes out of development. The dev has been posting about this, so I hope it might actually happen at the end of July, as he said, because then I'm going to stream the heck out of it. Also, stay tuned for a really big announcement that I can hopefully make next week or the week after, because we are planning a really, really big event for mid-August, which is going to be huge and wonderful and awesome and all of that. So yeah, like, people who know this channel, yes, it has that and more.
That plus.
Yes, that and plus.
That and plus.
Yes.
But thank you, Pyron. Again, thanks for
Bonus
doing
content.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for doing such a great job with the team. And again, same that I've said to everybody else. It's so nice to be able to play with such wonderful people, friends, and just entertaining players. It's great, and you should all be proud of yourselves for putting on a really good, entertaining performance every time while having fun at the same time. I say this all the time with my other campaigns too. This isn't the norm with everything. Like, having people that are good together in a way that moves things forward in a moving, emotional, powerful way, and have tons of fun in the process. This isn't what everyone's able to do, and so we should celebrate that when we see it. So kudos to my players, and I will miss all of you till next month, but we will be back next month. So I will let you folks go and get out of the way so Blackheart can get on. Thank you so much to Pyron. Thank you so much to Darksaber2K. Thank you so much to Mike, and thank you so much to Tasty Chai. Good to see all of you. Check, we get some love for them, and I will see you wonderful folks soon. Bye for now. Okay. So, great stuff. Again, as I mentioned, and now I've got to get out of here for the amazing, crazy go nuts, awesome, amazing Blackheart, who is going to be playing. Oh yes. No, I know you were. I know. No, I wasn't actually talking about that. I was sort of just conscious myself of not necessarily wanting to be like, is everything fine? Because I don't, I was like, I don't want to just push someone into doing something. That's important. But I think it actually worked really nicely with how, Greta was kind of putting things together. So Pyron did a great job with that, as I would had no doubt she would. So this was great. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow us here on GOG. Please sub to us here on GOG, as a few of you both followed and subbed today. That was great. Please also click through and follow to and sub to us on our own channels. Again, I have a big D&D event coming up on Saturday the 18th on my channel with Rick Riordan playing D&D on Twitch, the guy who wrote Percy Jackson and a bunch of other authors. That's a really big deal for me, so I'm excited about that. And I am going to not be here next week. I'm going to be away, so you will not see me here or on my channel. I'll have content on my channel with other people streaming, but I will not be streaming until Saturday the 18th. So the last time you'll see me streaming will be this Friday, when I will be back with my flagship campaign on my own channel, D&D with INB Curse of Strahd. Otherwise, nothing next week, and then the week after that, we've got The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt as I finish up Hearts of Stone and get ready for Blood and Wine. That's going to do it for me. Stick around now for Blackheart, who is playing... I should know this, but I don't. I saw it before. Is abandoning ship. Yes, he's going to abandon ship. So I'm going to abandon ship right now. Much love. Thank you so much, Blackheart. Good to see everybody. Hey, Genly, what's up? Good to see you, man. I hope all is well, and I hope everyone is doing well here. And we'll stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you folks on my channel at the end of the week and in a couple of weeks back here on GOG.com. Special thanks to my amazing players. Love all of them and love all of you. And I will catch all of you wonderful people soon. Stick around for Blackheart. Bye for now. Be good to each other.